welcome back to Bombshell Behavior. I'm one of your co-hosts, Jordan Mobley.
And I'm one of your co-hosts, Samaya Kerwin.
So today we're going to talk about everything that happened this past week. It was a crazy week, to be honest. I have no
Guys,
words for some of the things that happened this week. But it's good because it gives us a lot of content to cover. Samaya, what are your thoughts on this past week?
girl, where do I even start? I mean, we literally started with Bea being dumped, and that was like so crazy. I kind of knew it was coming, I would say. She's not been in a good situation with Gabe, with the new Islanders coming in and like the and Jen and Soul and everybody, like all the bombshells coming in, it felt like she was gonna be the one dumped. So I wasn't really too shocked. Honestly, this week has been so wild. Guys, this season has been crazy. I mean, literally the highs and the lows of the season have been insane. And the Islanders have definitely taken us on a roller coaster this past week. So I can't wait for us to like jump into all the details of that because truly I have never been so confused in one week. Genuinely. But I'm excited to talk about all of the Islanders and hear your points, Jordan.
Yeah, I mean, with all that being said, I feel like we should just jump right in. I
Let's
do
do
want
it.
to highlight After Sun a little bit because I think both
Yes.
me and Samaya watched it.
Oh,
Um,
wait. So I did not watch After Sun, y'all, but I did
oh,
watch, I saw most of the clips from it. So I do have no, I do have things to say, but I didn't watch the full thing.
yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna say much other than the fact that we did get to see Bea and Sean, their reactions when they got their phone back, and we also got to hear a little bit from them about their experience in the villa and their opinions on everyone currently in the villa, which I thought was nice.
Yes.
Right off the bat, it was so funny to me when Sean got his phone back and saw what his mayor had said. That was crazy that the mayor was like talking so bad about Sean.
I know. Y'all,
And
that was so insane.
it was so mean, especially since he told his boss, he told literally everyone where he was going, and like they gave him
Mhm.
the opportunity to go and pursue the
Right.
experience. Because honestly, this is a once in a lifetime experience. So
And so many Islanders like pause their whole life to come on this show because it's a summer like no other. And truly, like most Islanders, I mean, in terms of the experience, like the experience. Now, as far as the drama, that comes every year, but the experience as a whole, most people like it and benefit from it. So,
yeah, I mean, it sucks that he was dumped first. I really wanted him to stay longer, but
him and Bea, I wanted to stay longer for sure.
yeah, it was interesting to see her get her phone back too because her friend straight up told her like we were not messing with Gabe at all. And I thought that was hilarious because that's a real friend right there. Like
That
we
is
do not
like they're
like
gonna
him
tell
at
you the truth.
all.
And it actually does tie into like how this past week went too, just with everything. Because every week they pretty much do a dumping anyway.
Yeah,
So I thought it was nice and it tied perfectly into this week's content and recap. And I actually really liked Bea. I think that she was like the realest one, in my opinion, as far as she was real with each girl. Like she didn't really change up in front of anybody, and I really appreciated that about her. Uh, and I would say the same for Sean. I think both of them were genuine. So watching their after sun clips and stuff like that, I felt like they came on genuine, left genuine. People, have responded to them for the most part pretty positively. We'll get into like the things that they actually said on the episode, but but for the most part, I mean, they weren't bad Islanders, and I actually did enjoy watching them.
yeah. As far as like them and After Sun, not really much to talk about from what they said because like some of it we already kind of knew. But
Yes.
one of the things that I find so funny about Sean is that he was basically, in my opinion, he loves Anaya. And I
Girl, he loves Anaya. That's a fact.
we didn't see any of that in the villa. We never saw him actually trying to pursue Anaya. He was only making out with Kenzie, and obviously he had his own
Literally.
Bea situation for like a day. But I never saw him trying to pursue Anaya. And that's so funny to me because I said the same thing last week when it came to Trinity. I never thought
Mhm.
Trinity saw Sean as an option because it seemed like he tried to pursue her at the last second. So I don't know. I feel like
Now it makes me wonder.
yeah, because maybe Sean felt like KC was his friend and he really didn't want to go that route, or he just, I don't know, maybe he
I
had.
have the tea, guys. I have the tea. So basically, Sean did an interview. It came out kind of right around After Sun. I don't know if he filmed it like in the same time frame or whatever, but it came out right after After Sun, and he did explain that he actually pulled Anaya for multiple chats,
Mm,
multiple. And they didn't, he was like shocked that they didn't show any of them because he did express interest, which we did see on the show. However, Anaya did think that her connection with Casey was stronger. So she's the one that said, I'm okay and moved on. Um,
well, that would
and
make
so,
sense.
yeah, so that's probably why, if that's my assumption, why production probably didn't show them because if there was no connection for Anaya there, they probably were just like, well, this storyline isn't necessary from a production standpoint. And I'm only saying that because even with Trinity, like we said, it kind of looked like he pulled her last minute and he was all over Kenzie. And I think there probably was a time when Sean was like scrambling. But for the most part, everyone I mean he explored. He definitely explored. I think he tried to see all his options. I think Anaya he spoke about the most because that's who he wanted to be with. But Anaya just ultimately chose to be with Casey at that point. So that's really what happened there. But if he did say that if it was up to him and the boys got to choose and he went before Casey, he probably would have chosen Anaya.
Okay, well, that makes sense.
Mhm.
I did not see that interview, but thank you for clarifying that. Um, as far as Bea goes, she didn't really have much to say,
I
honestly.
didn't see that either. Yeah.
But she did give us a little information about where Trinity and Bryce were at as far as
Hmm.
their relationship, because of course there's always been doubt about them from the beginning, just from how they
Right.
started and their little tiff in the middle. But Bea
Hmm.
basically told us that Trinity is dead set on Bryce and that if it's not him, then it's not going to be anyone from this experience, which I feel like as a Trinity fan is really reassuring to hear. Because at the end of the day, I think they're stuck on each other. I don't really see anyone pulling them apart at this point. I think they're pretty solid, which, I'm happy about. But it's
Yes.
just nice for another Islander to come in and kind of like reassure the fan base in that sense. Um,
Hmm.
that was like the biggest thing from my Bea takeaway in that interview, other than
Yeah, they both did say that they were rooting at the time. I don't know now, but at the time, they both, Sean and Bea, they did say that they were rooting for Trinity. They did say they were rooting for Kanaya. And I want to say they were rooting for Zach and Kata, I want to say.
Mm,
Um, so that's what they left with. And yes, like Jordan said, Bea did mention Trinity, and she said that she feels like they're very strong. Personally, from watching, I feel like they're very strong. So it was very nice to hear the reassurance. But I honestly feel like even without it, I felt like they were. So I felt like it was nice to hear from a fellow Islander. Because one thing I will say about After Sun, it gives us a little bit of perspective inside the Islanders' minds and from their experiences firsthand meeting these people, especially as OGs. Sean and Bea were both OGs. And I think that they got to experience these people right when they came in and up to a certain point.
mhm.
And I feel like as an OG Islander, you kind of get to know people like at their rawest self in a way too, because it's kind of like everyone's coming in and everyone's kind of like nervous for the experience. So I thought that that was nice that she said that Trinity is going strong.
Yeah, for sure. Um, so I think we should move on from After Sun because
Yes.
there's a
So to get
lot.
into the episodes, y'all.
Yeah. Do you want to start with what happened on Sunday?
Woo! Yes, y'all. So to start, Gabe and Jen, they did have a convo. I did kind of feel like no shade to them, but the conversation was a little bit boring. I don't in general, I didn't really see the connection with them. I kind of feel like Gabe just kind of was forced to be with Jen at that point because he had no other option and like Bea was gone. So he was really sad to see her leave, which I was really shocked at. But as far as like their conversation, I didn't feel like Gabe was super invested in Jen at that point, if that makes sense.
Can I just say something really quickly? I
Yeah,
genuinely hate all of their conversations because every time she ends up talking over him.
she
Like he'll
does.
be saying something and then she'll start yapping and I'm like, girl, what we don't get this is how you know
Literally,
there's no connection being formed because you're not listening, you're just yapping. And
literally.
and then they'll end with a kiss and I'm like, how did we get here?
And
Genuinely.
that's why I feel like Gabe just kind of at that point it wasn't up to him, but like at the end of the day, he had to move on because Bea was dumped and like somebody had to be coupled up with him. So at the end of the day, Gabe and Jen, guys, just for future reference, as we continue talking about the week, Gabe and Jen have never moved me. So
I don't think they've moved anyone for real.
yes. So, I think Gabe hasn't been like a bad individual to anyone. I just feel like he's not serious.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a fair assessment to be honest.
hmm
And I don't know. I feel like he definitely moved on. He moves on a little too
Oh
quick,
no, he moved
in my
on. He moved
opinion.
on. I mean, at that point, they had only been together for like what, a week and a half.
But it was
That
2 days, babe, and they're already like doing a bunch of stuff.
oh no, no, I meant like him and Bea.
I know, and I feel like it's been 2 days since Bea was gone, and him and Jen are already
Ready to go. Right.
full force. I'm like, okay, chill. I just packed my bag.
No, literally. But the next combo we saw was with Kenzie and Caleb. Kenzie said that she's never dated a younger guy. She kind of saw that as like a yellow flag. To me, I put in my notes that Caleb seems like a genuine, nice guy, and Kenzie is super indecisive.
Yeah,
And I was like, girl, just pick one.
I
Because
I have to say something. That is the stupidest thing that she could have said because Corbin is a 1 year older.
older.
One
And
year.
Caleb's a Sagittarius, I think, or something. So he'll be 22 this year.
Exactly. Which I just feel like that was just an excuse because Corbin is 22 years old, Caleb is 21 years old. Like,
And
really,
Kenzie's only 24. So,
exactly. He's not that much younger. And if we're talking about maturity level, Caleb is way more mature than Corbin.
right.
But
But like her indecisiveness between the two of them, since they came in, like, since Caleb came in the picture, I just feel like Kenzie just feels like she can have her cake and eat it. I don't really like that. I feel like she kind of, honestly, y'all, all the bombshells, Caleb, Soul, and Jen have kind of been strung along, and we'll get to Soul. But as far as like Jen is just in an unserious situation, but
I
at
don't
the
think
end,
she's been strung along though. I think she was definitely lusted over, but I feel like
oh, that's true.
I don't think she has been strung along. I think she knew what she was getting herself into because Gabe never lied because she wouldn't
That's true.
like like he
That's
doesn't
true.
have the opportunity to lie because you're always talking. So it's just
That is true.
it's like I
But
feel
the other two, I would
oh
say
for
they have.
sure. Oh for
Yeah,
sure.
for
The other
sure.
two, yeah.
Because Jen couldn't, like, I mean, she, at that point, you're right. Like, she kind of knew what she was getting herself into with Gabe. So I was kind of surprised to see a little bit of how the week went and how it ended. But, like, ultimately, Jen knew that this is just, like, convenient. Like, this is just what it is for right now. This is temporary. Um, Caleb, on the other hand, I feel for the guy. I think Kenzie has had ample amount of time to decide between the two of them. And if we're looking at the grand scheme of things, Corbin has been really messy.
Yeah.
So Caleb has at least been honest and genuine. and he's been a nice guy to Kenzie. And I just feel like Kenzie just felt like, you know what? Well, I know he's coming in here for me. So at the end of the day, I get like the ultimate pick. But it's like, girl,
Her
like,
mask definitely slipped this week. That's all I'll say. Because there was a couple of moments where I'm like, I don't know how to feel about this girl because she's very entitled at some points too. Where
yes,
because obviously Melanie got coupled up with Corbin, but
hmm
she really took a back seat in that whole situation because of Kenzie. And Kenzie was kind of mad at Melanie at some points because she
yes.
felt like Melanie and Corbin like couldn't really connect because she would be hurt by that. And I'm like, at the end of the day, you have a whole other man that you have a connection with in Caleb. You're telling him one thing, you're telling Corbin another thing. It's just, I don't know. I felt she was very entitled in some aspects.
Yeah. And ultimately, it hurt Caleb.
Yeah.
Um, but moving on to Sincere and Soul's combo, what did you think?
Can you remind me what that combo
Yes.
is?
Basically, Sincere and Soul had a convo, and it was brought up that, you know, Soul kind of feels like I think it was her. She said that she feels like she's kind of like walking on eggshells. But Sincere is attracted to Soul's confidence, and but I feel like he just wanted to be with Mel. To be honest with you, um, I don't know. I don't know why Sincere, and let me just get into this because the whole Sincere and Soul of it all has really made me upset for Soul. Um,
I feel like
he
in the beginning, I'm sorry to cut you off, but I do have to say in this before you get into it, I
Go
feel like
ahead.
in the beginning, Sincere was very much open to connecting with Soul when they first got paired up, and I feel like he was very much focused on her. And then I don't know what happened in the middle of the week where like his attitude completely flipped, but I'll let you take it from there.
I honestly, so this is just my perspective of it all. I think he was open for sure. I just don't know if he was something in me just was like, I feel like he's gonna go back to Melanie when the dust settles because at the end of the day, in my opinion, I feel like because he was constantly leading Soul astray, um, poor Soul is like investing a lot of her eggs in his basket at minimum. And like he's kind of been telling Mel one thing, Soul another. Like Mel is in the middle of this whole thing with like Corbin and Kinsey. Everyone's trying to figure it out, right? And at this point, I'm like, well, Mel hasn't done anything wrong. So it's up to you, and this goes for any Islander, but definitely for Sincere in this situation. You have two girls that you've liked at different points for your own reasons. And at the end of the day, like it's unfair to have all these really positive, seemingly progressive conversations with Soul and then basically like blame her for the outcome. I just felt like at that point, even in the beginning, I felt like they weren't that compatible in terms of their personality. They looked great, but at the same time, I was like, I think Soul is a different vibe than Sincere. I think that she's a realist, and I think that she needs someone just as honest with her. And Sincere, as we've seen, even with Melanie, could never be honest, and to this day is not honest. So I feel like Soul definitely dodged a bullet, but I think it ultimately hurt her feelings, knowing that this whole time they seemed to have a good connection, especially in the beginning of the week. And like you said, some switch went off in Sincere's head, and we'll get to it. But I think that that period they seemed nice. And I can't really tell if Sincere was genuinely over it with Melanie or not, or if he just wanted them to stop arguing. But at the end of the day, I don't think Melanie blew that much out of proportion. I just think Sincere was never honest. And I think he got burned um in terms of Soul's reaction to his dishonesty, because it was time for him to get that slap in the wrist. And I think that, you know, in this episode, we kind of see them bonding a lot, but I think from the get go, I wasn't sure if I really saw the vision. So I don't know.
And I feel like I saw the vision, but I think it came down to what it came down to was it was healthy. They weren't arguing, and he was all over her. Like they were always kissing, he was always touching
Yes.
her.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and this is how people get played because Sincere, he really played me in the beginning because I really thought I'm like, okay, this could be better, than him and Melanie. And even with Melanie, I'm not saying Corbin brought this out of her, but when she was away from Sincere, she was very calm and likable
Yeah.
and not crashing out all the time. And that's what'll happen when you feel like you're in a safe environment with someone and it's not a tit for tat. So I thought that them being separated, it was best for everyone. And I kind of had a feeling that they would come back together at a certain point, but I was really hoping that they wouldn't, just because it was bringing too much unnecessary drama into the villa. Because when it comes down to it, they might be back together or whatever, but I don't think they're right for each other because your person will never bring out an ugly side in you, and I feel like they bring out an ugly side in each other
Consistently. Yeah. Yeah.
consistently. And
And
it literally happened day two. Like y'all were fighting day two or three.
And
So
people were so tired because the Islanders themselves were so tired of it. That's how much of an impact their arguing had. The Islanders themselves were so tired of everything going on that they genuinely were so happy when they weren't together. Now, obviously, we see like things change, everyone changes their mind, yada, yada, yada. But ultimately, a lot of them were happy that Mel and Sincere weren't butting heads constantly. And I think even in, and I'm just gonna, this bleeds right into the next conversation, but with Corbin and Melanie, I feel like them coupling up, it looks aesthetically pleasing, I must say, at this point. I think that, Corbin did mention to Melanie, um, he was kind of like, she can't crash out at the sight of, you know, Soul and Sincere holding hands or anything. Um, he was like, just explore and don't do anything out of spite. You know what I mean? I felt
mhm.
like that was the right advice at the right time because I feel like Melanie like sat down with herself. Obviously, she slept in soul ties.
Yeah.
She slept in soul ties. And I feel like after that she was really rejuvenated. I think that she could bring herself to a point where she was like, okay,
Yeah.
fresh start, clean slate, like let him do what he's doing and I'm going to do what I'm doing. And we're just going to see how he does throughout the week. Obviously, she is crying about Soul and Sincere, and it does hurt her feelings initially that America voted them to couple up. But at that point, I think Melanie needed that. Despite what went on with Soul and Sincere this week, I think Melanie needed some kind of refresher.
I agree because you can genuinely see a different Melanie, which I liked. I very much enjoyed because
Me
she
too.
lost me a little bit with the way she was acting in the beginning, especially with the whole Kata situation and that
Mm-hmm.
challenge. That I was like, what are we doing? But I can definitely see that she's a sweet girl. I don't think Corbin necessarily brought it out of her, but it helped that she was separated from Sincere, who constantly brings out this negative energy within her. And I feel like she was making sense this week. Like with a calm mindset, everything changes, genuinely.
Yeah, because she even said herself, she said, um, obviously she didn't sleep with Corbin that night or whatever, but I feel like she even was like, you know what? I feel like I kind of lost myself in here with Sincere.
Mhm.
And that's something I feel like a lot of girls can relate to. And I think that because it happens, right? It happens to all of us at different points. But I think the way that she was able to recognize that at that point, after having so many days of high emotion, high, you know, high like anxiety. You know what I mean? Like she was constantly worried about every little thing because
Yeah.
of Sincere. And vice versa. I think Sincere, had his own worries as well with Melanie and her crash out.
Hmm.
But I think that ultimately Melanie actually benefited from that break, from that separation. I think that she got a clear head.
Yeah.
Um, and I think now, even with things as they are, we will see what happens. But I think Melanie feels better about Melanie, and that makes me feel good.
I agree 1000%. Yeah.
Um, yeah, so the next day, Anaya is a really good friend to Melanie. She goes out, she checks on her, make sure she's okay. I feel like I love their friendship, not gonna lie. They're really sweet to each other. And they've been there for one another the whole time. I think, seeing how the girls interact with each other is one of the highlights for me of the episodes because I really feel like they all really try to be there for one another and really try to support and call out, certain behaviors or things that are going on in the villa in general. So I think that
I
it's
say, I
nice.
think they're starting to be better about that because in the beginning, one of my gripes with Anaya and Melanie's friendship was I feel like Anaya wasn't being very honest with Melanie and how she
I
was
don't
acting.
either.
And like, I get you trying to be there for her and be a support system for her, but a real friend tells a person when you're acting a fool. And I think they've all gotten better about that.
I
Um,
think Anaya hit her limit too, because I think in the
yeah.
beginning, to be fair, I think in the beginning, you don't really know people. You know what I mean? You don't really know their triggers. And all these Islanders had met each other. And I felt the same way as you do in terms of like, I feel like she could say a little more. But I
Mhm.
also felt like if I was in there, I'd be like, well, I barely know this girl. I don't know. I could tell her what I'm feeling, but it's also like, I'm not super close with her. Like I'm still trying to get myself adjusted to the villa. I'm still trying to like figure my stuff out. So I think Anaya hit a breaking point though, where she was just like, everyone is tired of, you and Sincere's bickering constantly and arguing. So I think after that, I think Anaya became a lot more upfront with her about all the things that them as a couple have gone through. Because she's hearing both perspectives because they're both her friends in different ways. But it's like they're not. It's not okay for the constant like back and forth. So I
Yeah.
thought that was nice that she. I think that it's nice now that she's there for Melanie in a way where she's calling her out a little bit more and like checking her a little bit more and she feels better about how Melanie is mentally. So
Mhm.
I did low key agree with Casey. I don't think Sincere cared about her sleeping outside, if I'm honest with you. Um, I don't know. I don't know if Melanie was doing it for attention. I don't know if I agree with that point, but I don't think Sincere cared.
I genuinely don't think she was doing it for attention because honestly, if I was in her situation and I felt that strongly about a boy, I feel like I wouldn't want to see that either, especially
Mhm.
if we were just in a couple. So sometimes you need to take a step away and be by yourself. I know that helps me a lot when I'm feeling very emotional and upset. I just need to be by myself. So I can understand where she was coming from with that. I don't think it was
Me
for
too.
all. But
I don't think it is either.
I can see where he was coming from because I think Melanie has done stuff in the past to garner attention. But
Mhm.
with that, I really don't think that was the right comment to make. But we'll get
No,
into
no, no. I don't either. Because I also feel like, to your point, I feel like Melanie, at that point, she was in a new couple and everything, and I just feel like she needed like a cleanse from all of that. She needed to clear her head, and ultimately, it benefited her. I do feel like, though, I don't think Sincere cared. Like, I don't think he cared that whether that's true or not, that she was doing it for attention. I don't think she was, but what I'm saying is, from a guy's perspective, I think Casey was just saying it more in the sense of I don't think if she was, I don't think Casey would have, or I'm sorry, Sincere would have cared. So I
uh,
feel like that's what he was trying to say. But anywho, um, and I genuinely, I don't think Sincere would have cared either if she was doing it for attention, but because I just think Sincere's on a different page at this point. But um, but yeah, but you know, Bryce and Trinity, they had a convo, and I my in my notes I said these people are tired of Melanie and Sincere, and I was just like,
Yeah, I
they're
mean,
all over it.
I think Bryce and Trinity have resorted to gossiping about everyone else because they don't really have any issues in their couple. So, like, they
Yes,
talk
we
about
see
how
that
other
fully
people.
play out this week for sure.
Oh, yeah. Well, anyways, I feel like I would be tired of Melanie and Sincere too. Just because if y'all are going through the same exact thing every single day,
Day,
it's just
all
not meant to
day,
be.
every day.
No,
Right,
and I feel like if one of them would have asked me what I thought about their relationship, I'll be like, maybe that's not your person, because they would not bring out this negative energy in you. Like I get,
right.
because that's the thing with toxic relationships. When it's good, but when it's bad, it's really bad.
It's really bad.
And like, is that what you really want? I don't
I
know.
hope not. I
Me.
hope not. And honestly, though, I think all the Islanders felt better, even though they weren't all having powwows about it. I think all of them felt better when they weren't coupled up.
Yeah.
So we are picking back up with Casey and Soul. Casey did pull Soul in the daytime. Will they explore, won't they, is what I put in my note. Um, I am a little confused as to why he pulled her. Um, I didn't really like the conversation. I didn't know where that was meant to go. I feel like, okay, I'm just gonna say this in general. I feel like anytime, especially during this episode where Casey pulled Soul, because he pulled her in the daytime and then he also pulled her again at night. I think every time he pulled her, the first time in the daytime, he did say that he was like locked in with Anaya. So that's the only difference between the daytime and the nighttime conversation. But I feel like with this whole Casey and Soul saga, because let me just say, guys, it's been a whirlwind, whirlwind. Um, the first week she was there, he didn't really pull her. I did see them have conversations in the background, but it wasn't like an official chat. It wasn't like a romantic anything. And even if it were, he didn't pursue. Now he's pulling her for chats a week later. It's Sunday, whatever. It's Sunday night's episode. And he's talking about the paint challenge and like how the paint looked on Soul, all of this stuff, right? All this unnecessary commentary. And still hasn't really pursued her, still hasn't really explored her. I feel like they talk more about the idea of exploring than actual exploring. Because in the nighttime conversation, we see that um, she was like, she was telling him that it's okay to explore in general. Like she was basically just like, it's fine to have conversations. It's not the end of the world. And Casey was more or less sitting in the position of, well, I have something good. Why would I explore? That's kind of been his position throughout this week's episodes. So that's kind of why I'm bringing it up because I feel like with Soul, he never really like shot his shot. He never really like actually did anything. And I feel like this conversation keeps coming up about the whole exploring of it all. And I want to say that Casey not exploring Soul and as we see throughout the week, him like second guessing that constantly really worries me for Anaya because I feel like Anaya saying like in the same breath, like during this daytime conversation with Soul, she's like, "Oh, I feel," or with Melanie when he's talking to Soul, she's like, "Oh, I feel so safe with Casey." Um, Yada yada yada. She feels good in the couple. All these things. And Casey's over here talking to Soul like, "Oh, like we could have explored, we could have not." Blah 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 blah. Right?
Can I ask a question? Is this the
Mhm.
same episode where they do that soccer challenge? Because I feel like that holds a lot of context for some of the conversations
Hold
that,
on. No.
okay, then I'm
I
not
think it's the
sure.
I think it's the one after. Oh wait, no, no, it is. It is.
I was gonna say, because from what I remember, Anaya was upset, which I can explain the whole soccer challenge. It was basically just the Islanders got an opportunity to like dub slime on certain people within couples, and some of the questions were telling. I think one of the questions that Zach and Kata got, they ended up sliming KC for. I think the question was something along the lines of who feels safe or something like that.
I know. I try to also, y'all, I hate these food challenges. Like no shade, but they're always gross. And yeah. Um, oh, they bucket him because they say Casey like didn't explore or whatever. That was like their reasoning.
Yes, but what was the question? It
Yeah,
was
I didn't write that
something
down.
along the
But it
lines
was
of
something in those
he is
realms.
playing it safe, and then Zach basically said that Anaya is a safe option, and he wanted to explore Soul, but he hasn't really done it yet because of Sincere. Obviously, that made Anaya feel a certain type of way because she has never told Casey that he couldn't explore whoever he wanted to, and she didn't want to be Casey's safe option. I'm only bringing up this challenge because Anaya and KC had a major rift because of it. And while he was having his conversation with Soul that night, Anaya was having a conversation with Kata and Zach about why they chose
Mhm.
KC for that specific question.
Right.
So I think, and this is another reason why Zach is lowering his stocks with Kayla and Zach, because he has constantly put fuels in multiple people's relationships. We saw it with Brennity, and we saw it this past week with Casey and Anaya, because they were good before this
They
exact
really were fine, y'all.
situation came up, and now it's just like
It's just plummeting.
it's just.
Honestly, so post the soccer challenge, since we're on the topic of them anyway, Anaya does mention that she doesn't want to ruin Casey's experience, and he did acknowledge and um, basically clarify that she's not. Um, she's not limiting his experience, she's not ruining his experience as far as like the exploring soul or anything. I will say I think his body language was a little bit uncomfortable. I think in general, Casey doesn't always know. I think he's always trying to say the right thing and instead of the honest thing. And I think that sometimes, as we've seen in this past week, that has come back to bite him in the butt because quiet is kept on the topic of Zach. Zach is not really, I think, anyone's friend. Zach is trying to get to the next part of this process so he can get to the top. He's going about it the wrong way because he's planting these seeds in Anaya's head. He's making her feel like she needs to worry about something. And I think that Anaya, if and somehow it always happens um, before Casey can even get to Anaya. Like whoever's talking to her, they always seem to get to her before Casey even moves in that direction or like tries to have that conversation. Or
Okay, can I
before,
say one thing though? I feel
yes,
like in the beginning with that whole Zach comment, I do think Anaya took it a little bit out of proportion because Zach should not define what's happening in your relationship. And I feel like she did not go straight to the source automatically, which is KC. All she had to do is go and ask him, did you say this or not? But I feel like if I'm remembering this correctly, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, she pulled Zach and Kata first and had that conversation with them, and then Casey had a conversation with her. But she was asking, like, why do you think that? And I get it. Like, you want to understand what he's saying behind your back. But at the same time, I and I feel differently. But at that point, I felt like she like kind of blew it out of proportion a little. It's like it wasn't that
I
big a deal.
honestly, I kind of agree. I think with all of these Islanders, um, and Anaya, especially in this moment, I think it would have cut out the middleman, right? Go straight to the source. Um, Ask them what they think about, like, at that point, she could have easily asked Casey what he thought about what Zach and Kata said and if it's true. I
Mm.
think that her I think she wanted to know from Zach and Kata because it didn't come from Casey. Casey didn't before that he didn't seem um as hesitant as they let on. So I feel like
And that's my thing. Zach literally made this entire problem because Casey never once said that he thought Anaya was a safe option. He literally, Zach pulled that out of his butt. Because Casey, unless we didn't see that conversation, I don't recall Casey ever telling Zach or any of the guys that he felt like
Anaya is a
Anaya
safe
was a
option.
safe option. He might have said he wanted to explore Soul, but it was never a case of he felt like Anaya was the safe option. So Zach was just trying to be messy at that point.
And to be honest, we see the mess continue throughout the week with Zach. But for sure, I think with them, um, they both are the kinds of people that have a hard time communicating because there's so many people involved in their situation, to be honest. Um, Zach kind of saying, and I put this in my notes, that, Casey doesn't want to risk anything. Um, I'm kind of like, but Casey never said that. Like,
Also, it's
he,
rich coming from Zach, who hasn't talked to literally anyone
right,
since Kata came
right.
in. Like you
But
made
he's trying
this
to
one big
push
switch.
Casey to explore. Like,
Yeah.
he's trying to make it a whole big thing. And yes, Casey should address it, but like, Casey hasn't made it at this point, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
So it's not caused a problem between Anaya and Casey. And I think, like you said, Anaya should went to the source. And I think um she did. Um eventually
They
her
got nowhere. I'm just gonna
no
say they literally got nowhere
at
because
all.
I feel like it's a thing about hearing each other, right? I feel like she didn't understand where he was coming from. He didn't understand where she was coming from. And basically at the end of that conversation, Anaya was like, if you want to explore Soul, just go ahead and talk to her. Because she could care less at this point. Like, you keep talking about wanting to explore her, we'll go ahead and do it. No one's holding you back from going to
Literally.
talk to Soul.
Literally, honey, go and explore her. But I will say in that moment, she was right, but it's like it didn't really make sense with what he was trying to express. Um, I think that KC was trying to come from a place of like, you know, I'm kind of upset because this is like I don't understand what I've done kind of thing. Like I don't understand what I've done to this connection to make you this like erupt. You know
But
what I
can I
mean?
say he didn't go about it in the right way? Because
He
by
didn't.
bringing up that in the beginning she didn't choose him, but he's done right by her this
Right.
entire time. What are your standards for doing right by someone? Because if you're comparing it to the other guys, well, of course, like Sincere has been trash. Gabe has been kissing everyone. Corbin's been begging for kisses. Like, what is the
You
standard
know what, too?
for
I'm
doing
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I just
right?
thought about this as you're saying this. What does Zach think is a good standard? Because him not really exploring anyone either. I'm like, okay, Casey is like to me, he's right in the middle
Mhm.
of all the guys. Um, I think that there's things that he could have been more straightforward about, and I think that's why Anaya at this point is just aggravated with him because he's just not being as straightforward as he could be. But I think he's also trying to get out like his feelings on it because she also didn't go to him first, right? He's trying to clean up whatever Zach's telling her, and it's just all messy. I think Zach also isn't good base for comparison because Zach has not really explored anyone either. So
I think we see his MO specifically in this episode, and I'll tell you why. Because when him and Kata and Bryce and Trinity were at the fire pit having a conversation, he literally said that he thought Kanaya, Brinity, and him and Kato were the strongest. But if you go back a couple days, he was telling Bryce that he didn't think Trinity liked him at all. So it's kind of, to me, he's trying to like fuel these fires within the couple so him and Kato come out on top. But we as the audience see what you're doing, and that doesn't fly with us because it's like at the end of the day, even if he wasn't doing that, Kata and Zach are not the strongest when
They're not.
it comes to
They're really not.
chemistry at all.
And if it has to do with not and that's what I'm saying. If the base is we haven't explored other people and we've been all into each other, then it's like neither at that point, neither have really the other two couples. I mean, yes, Bryce pulled Kata at one point, but
And
like
they had
if
that little split in the beginning where they both chose to
go
like
with other people,
explore.
whatever, right?
But
And
at the
and
yeah,
and Kate and Anaya didn't choose Casey, whatever, whatever. But like if we're looking at it from that basis, all of them would be equal. Zach and Kata aren't superior in any way, shape, or form because at that point, right? Because Zach also didn't stay with Kenzie, right? He
exactly.
got with Kata. So,
I
and
guess
if he
in
think
his mind, he hasn't jumped from Kata since,
he
whereas
hasn't,
other
but
people
neither,
have
but
had
at that
doubt.
point, neither have the other two.
I
So,
think where he and I'm like trying to play devil's advocate right now. I think in his mind, I since Bryce and Casey have expressed interest in exploring other people and he hasn't, maybe that's why he thinks him and Kata should
and you
come
know
out
what? It's
on top.
kind of wrong because when he jumped ship from Kenzie, now granted, it was the beginning of the season, but if we're basing it off of that and Brennedy didn't stay together either, then this is a fair point. You didn't stay with Kenzie. You haven't been with Kenzie. Honestly, if I'm being really honest, Bryce and Trinity and Casey and Anaya have been coupled up longer at this point than Zach
And
and Kata.
and that is true. A day
And
longer,
so
but if we're
at
going
the
based
end,
off that,
but I'm saying if that's his point, that's what I'm saying. If that's his
yeah.
point, if that's his argument, it's not a strong argument because
Oh, for sure. Nothing Zach has said up to this
it's a
point
strong
has
argument.
been strong. He is trying to establish himself as the big man on campus, and it's not working as far as public opinion goes because nobody likes him from what I can see, except his
Right.
brother Charlie trying to get us to sway. Like, Charlie, no. At this point, I'm questioning you too, because what is going on? I'm so tired of Zach.
And you know what? Like it is messed up that Casey said that he's not exploring because of sincere or whatever have you. But like
Yeah, that was
in
an
in
excuse. I'm sorry.
no no no
A
no no.
poor one at that.
I think that that's messed up. But also, I know in reality, I know that men think that way. So that's kind of
For
why I
sure.
kind of like, I thought it was messed up, but I brushed over it because I was like, this whole bro code thing. Um, but also, I think with Zach, he never really, Zach planting that in Anaya's head about Casey. In the same breath, he was like, well, Casey's never expressed interest like to the guys for
So why
anyone
would you
else.
say that?
Right. So
What?
why would you even bring that up?
Right. What possessed you to say that? Because then again, that shows your entire MO. You're trying to plant seeds of doubt in people's relationships so you and Kata can come on top. I'm sorry it's not working. It's really
Right,
not.
honey, you barely by the skin of your teeth. y'all are getting there. Like by the skin of
By
your
the
teeth.
skin. And it's literally because of Kata fans. It's not because
It
Zach.
really it really
Yeah.
is. Um but the next episode, hold on, let me get my notes.
Yeah, me too. We
Because
talked
we
about
can
that
move
one for a
on.
good long
Well,
while.
that
Like,
had a lot of juice though. It was a Sunday night episode, and as we got guys, as we know, Sunday night episodes typically have a lot of tea. Um, this next episode, episode 12, I think is next.
yes.
Yes. Zach and Kata go to the hideaway. Yay, whatever.
I
Um,
that was so ugh, whatever. I can't even say anything because I skipped through all of that. I did skip
oh,
it.
girl, I didn't even I let it play, but I wasn't looking at my screen because I didn't want to miss something in the midst, but meaning like from the other Islanders, because you know how they'll pan from both.
Oh
So I
yeah.
didn't skip
I was
anything,
just
but
trying to skip to see a little scene.
But let's just say I wasn't pleased that Zach and Kata got to go to the hideaway because all the seeds were planted for them to go to the hideaway. And
Oh
I think
yeah.
everyone was happy for them because they were the only ones at that point that hadn't really had an argument. But let's just say that I was not happy with that. But good for them, whatever.
Can I
Anaya and
just say
Trinity.
one thing about
Mhm.
their hideaway experience? I saw a
Go ahead.
clip on Twitter where Zach brought up Bryce and he's like, but we're alone now. And Kato was like, oh, but we're still talking about Bryce. Why is Zach a monitoring spirit in Brennity's relationship? It gets to a point. Can you please stop? It gets to a
Honestly,
point.
I think Zach has shown himself. His mask has been
Oh,
off
his
for a
mask
minute.
slipped a long time ago. Let me just tell
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
a long
Because
time ago.
like when I talk about scamming, Zach is the equivalent.
Yeah.
Because truly, some of the men I just think are kind of dumb, to be honest, and how they've moved and behaved. Because like scamming to me is you already know what you're trying to get to. Some of them don't really know. They're just making dumb decisions and it's making them look like they know what they're doing. They don't. They just are like moving based on how things are like playing out. And again, we don't know what production is telling them to, y'all. Like production does have a little bit of a little bit to do with this.
A
So
lot of it. Let's not give them their tens. They have their foot in this season. I know it for a fact. But
right.
anyway, I'm not getting into it.
So Zach being there, like in my opinion, the production plant, um, that's like a fact. Honestly, it's not even an opinion. Zach is there to disrupt the couples, and he's doing it. I mean, he's doing his job. Um,
For sure.
and I think the conversation with Anaya and Trinity in episode 12, I thought personally, I wrote it in my notes. I think Trinity is right to tell Anaya like she doesn't feel like it's a big deal because everyone, you know, everyone is in agreement that Casey likes Anaya.
And I
Um,
would agree at that time, knowing what I knew then, I would say it's not
I
a
would
big
say the
deal.
same.
But
Yes.
after this entire week, I would tell her, keep your eye on that one because I
Right. Keep
don't
your eyes
trust him.
peeled.
I don't trust him at all. But we'll get into that. But
Yeah. No. I'm really just describing this point. Y'all, the week really has taken a toll
it's
on my viewing
completely flipped.
experience. Yeah.
It completely flipped.
Like the way I think about and it's not even just I'm saying we're talking about Casey and Anaya right now, but like most of those couples, if not all of them, have aggravated me this week. Actually, I think all of them have. And again, we'll get into it because in the later episodes in the week, we see it play out, but genuinely, it's a mess. Um,
I
but
think
yes, I
in this episode, Casey's mask started to slip a little too with some of the comments he made.
yes, child. Yes. Um, but the next point was Corbin, Mrs. Kenzie.
Which
Um,
is okay. I have a lot to say about
go
them two
ahead.
as a whole.
Hmm.
I don't really see a connection with them, not a real one. I feel like they're both lusting after each other, which is not gonna play well in the
Hmm.
end. You're not gonna end up together because you don't have real conversations. The
Right.
feelings that they both claim to have is just lust because it's Kenzie, I feel like has been code switching a lot between Caleb and Corbin. And I bring this up because her conversations with Corbin are very sexual. There's no real conversations. But when she talks to Caleb, she says she can see a life outside of the villa with him and there's a real connection forming. And I can't help but think that she's fetishizing Corbin
She
by
is.
that. And I'm very uncomfortable with it because we see that a lot, especially with Black men in our community. Uh,
Hmm.
and I'm not saying every like interracial relationship is like this, but a lot of white women do fetishize Black men, and it's uncomfortable to watch in real time because that's exactly what's happening.
Absolutely, yeah.
I don't know. I find it hard to really support them, especially when Kenzie was saying that Caleb was her exact type. That's exactly what she wanted. I'm very confused where the switch happened with that, but I don't know.
Yeah,
That's
I do and did feel very bad for Caleb. Um, it was obvious even to the public that Caleb was sent in directly for Kenzie. That much was obvious. The Islanders clocked it. We clocked it. We all production, like everybody was all hands on. And I feel like production has been all hands on with Kenzie and all of her connections.
Mhm.
Um,
Like,
I
okay, sorry. Just
Go
one
ahead.
point. Kinsey has the most confessionals out of everyone because someone's been keeping count on Twitter. We do not get
Wow,
to see Kenzie. I'm sorry, but this whole will she, won't she, who will she be with? I don't care. I was ready to send her home, but that's that's neither here
girl,
nor
we were
there.
already her and Corbin can go in my book. Um,
There's a lot of people that can, but
oh, right. You're dismissed. Um, yeah. Then it pans back to Zach and Kata. Whatever. I don't care. They're boring. I really don't. The problem with this as a whole, right? This cast is that a lot of less going on, not a lot of conversation, a lot of sexual activity. I really don't feel like, and I'm just gonna say this in general, I really don't feel like the hideaway was needed.
I
Um,
agree. It was too early.
Too early. We're 2 weeks in at this point, and like, there's
Another
no
thing
reason.
I want to point out too is because I was having a conversation about this with my aunt before we got on. I feel like when couples go to the hideaway, they're pretty much closed off at that point, and definitely like when they get out of it, because that makes you feel closer in a way. So I definitely think it was too early because Zach and Kata have not closed off. I think Kata would be willing to, but I don't think Zach is there or if he'll get there. Because he's been soft launching, exploring a bombshell the entire week, and Kata has not either she hasn't caught on or she's just completely ignoring that. Um,
Actually, can I say something? Because
yeah.
you just said soft launching and exploring. He's literally no better than anybody. I don't know what's in his head, but he's no better than Casey, Bryce. I mean,
Oh, he's
everyone.
definitely not better than Bryce. I'm sorry. Bryce
I
and
don't.
Caleb are like the only people. Like Bryce had his little moments this past week, but he hasn't really done anything. Caleb's definitely not done anything. Zach
Caleb is
is,
free for this upcoming week. He's free. Like
yeah,
he can do
go
whatever
do
he
your
wants.
big one.
Yeah, honestly, do your big one, your little one. I don't know, but do it all. Um,
Exactly.
but to me, like I feel like Zach has been even more obvious than Casey about exploring. Like
Oh, for
even
sure.
his body language towards Kata is to me like so wrong.
And that's
Um,
why I'm saying either she's completely oblivious or she's just choosing to ignore him because she likes him so
it could
much.
really go one or the other way,
Yeah.
truly.
I just need
Um,
her to wake up because it's like at the end of the day, he's
oh
going
girl,
to play you.
I need all these girls. I need all of them activated. When movie night comes around, I need all of them activated. I don't know about Casa, but when
Yeah,
movie night is
Casa
activated,
might disappoint us.
I need all of them awake and alert. Thank
Oh,
you,
yeah, I'm sure they will be after what they hear has been said.
girl. Okay, unfortunately, we have to get to this next part of the
I
episode.
already know what you're about to say. I have a lot of thoughts.
Girl, me too, but literally, I can't even read my notes, y'all, because it's full crash out.
Maya this past week was so funny with how
Girl,
she was crashing out because everyone knows Kanaya is her favorite. So,
girl, girl. The mess that I have been put through this week. Like my opinion, when I tell you my opinions like flip-flopped so many times and for multiple reasons that have to do with the couple and with and like the people surrounding them. Um it's just yeah. Anyway, the next thing is Casey and Corbin are having a conversation and
a
I
mass
don't know
bully.
where this came from. I don't even know, like, genuinely, I really don't know how the conversation, like, got to this point. Other than the fact that I know that Corbin and Kenzie at this point had been uh sexual um in bed and stuff like that. But that's something that I feel like the Islanders talked about all the time. So
Yeah.
I didn't really understand where this came from. And to be honest with you, I will say this. Um, it felt really like it felt really random. I don't know how to describe it, but basically, um, Corbin was saying that him and Kinsey had done some things in bed, yada yada yada, and the night before. And at this point, Casey and Anaya, like they're not really seeing eye to eye. Casey's getting very frustrated. And he's like, well, Anaya and I haven't done anything, like whatever, whatever. The the camera's like cutting and panning to different things and different people. So I don't know how they got to this point. But basically, Casey, like, um, Corbin makes some joke about how like Anaya like goes to bed early or whatever. And then they were both like grandma or whatever. I
It wasn't
personally,
necessarily about that though, because like from what I heard, they he had made the grandma comment right after he kind of said like they haven't done anything, and then Corbin was like, "Well, I do see Anaya going to bed early," so that
that's true.
is exactly why I was upset
Okay.
because
I was equally upset. I can't read y'all my notes because that's how upset I was. But just know I don't play that. Like the whole point of Love Island, and this is the problem, because the fact that they're even talking about Caleb and Kenzie in bed, sorry, Corbin and Kenzie in bed, like, first of all, why does that matter? Like, why does it matter what one couple has done compared to you? That's the first thing.
I think the
Second thing
problem
is,
is that's kind of the norm in our generation now. Like if you're not participating in sexual activities, you're considered a prude. But for some people, like why would you want to jump into bed with someone right after meeting them? Like for me,
right,
I wouldn't do
me either.
anything.
Me either, y'all. Like, I actually can't even, like, Casey was really wrong in this situation because if I was Anaya, I would be doing the same thing. And I do want to point this out because we did kind of skip over it. Casey and Anaya, the day before when it was the soccer challenge, they did have a conversation about their sexual activity before the villa. And Anaya had said that it had been a year since she's done anything with anyone. Now, Casey was a little bit shocked because he was just like, how? I don't understand. Not in like a rude way. He was just like, wow, really? Um, so seeing the grandma comment, and he had said like, I don't know what's true and what's not, y'all. I'm just reciting what he said. He had said like the last time he had done it was on his birthday, and before that it had been some time. So like it had been a few months. So I think with this conversation with Corbin, it really just like threw my palate off because I was just like, you should never expect that from a woman at all. Like especially when you're first meeting someone. Casey is apparently very like a touchy feely person. He's definitely a physical touch, love language kind of person. But like having that expectation of Anaya to just like give up her body just because like y'all are in a couple or whatever in the first 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks of you knowing her is just unacceptable. Like that should never be um that should never be the way that women are perceived, or and that should never be something that women feel like they have to give up in order to be with somebody.
I
um
agree. And that's why I was saying that's kind of a problem with our generation now. And I never
mhm,
want to like judge anyone based off of what they choose to do. But I think that for people like Anaya, they shouldn't be judged for not wanting to do everything right away. Like some people have old school values.
yeah,
And okay. You can't force anyone to do anything that they don't want to do. And I don't think she should be shamed or called a grandma for that because at the end of the day, y'all just met 2 weeks ago. It's some
and
people
just because other people are moving at a different pace than you are doesn't mean you need to force each other into doing that. I think I think that this is a major problem anyway on this season of Love Island is the constant comparison of the couples. Because it's not even just in this situation, it's just like across the board, whether they're talking about physical things or not, there's there's a line there, right? You're either happy in your couple or you're not. And I found the whole comparison game completely unnecessary. Um, and that's why I feel like this conversation, it was kind of just like, why? Like, what's the goal here? Like, you either want to be with the girl or you don't.
I
Um,
feel like a lot of it stemmed from he was just angry
I think
with
he was
Anaya.
frustrated.
And at that point, Anaya was ignoring him. They hadn't had a conversation. And I think he was just venting his feelings. I'm not excusing that at all by like saying that, but I do think that's where it came from.
And I don't want to excuse his feelings either. I did see online though. If y'all don't know her, go check out her videos because I want to say she's some kind of psychologist. I don't know, but she came across my feed the night that this whole comment was made, and she feels like it was weird that the way that they edited the conversation because she said that there could have been a sentence in there before he made the grandma comment because the way she basically described the scene like how the producers cut up the scene made it look like really bad and maybe it wasn't as bad as what we saw. Now, again, I'm not saying I agree with that because y'all genuinely like I wasn't even paying attention to all that because when I heard the comment I just freaked out. But she was saying that like the conversation cut from Corbin and Casey, then went to like a confessional or something, then went to Anaya, then back. This is like while they're talking
Hmm.
before they even made the grandma comment, then went back to them, then went back to a confessional, then went back to like so it was very. And she's like, oh, I can't remember the comment right now, but basically she said something along the lines of Casey could have said like, "Oh yeah, and she loves to like um go to bed early," and that's why the grandma comment was made. Because if you look at it, it's so choppy that she's like, I can't tell if production was being messy with his words or if it was just them being messy. But either way, like you said, it did stem from frustration. I think like you said, the whole bigger picture here is that um women just shouldn't have to do anything for um for their man that they're not comfortable with. And that's just the bottom line. We are going to get into some other things in this episode that happened. Honestly, Anaya getting feedback from Trinity and Melanie this episode was so interesting because Trinity and Melanie both had different conversations with her at different times, saying that like, you know, they think that Casey's basically being genuine about how he feels about her and like he's not said anything or done anything to make her believe otherwise or make anyone else that they know of believe otherwise, right? So um but Anaya made a comment. I thought it was funny. She was like, guys, this is not Disney Channel. Like, why does Casey feel like everything is a joke? And I was crying laughing. It's so funny.
Cause he, I think, and I don't want to analyze him too much because I feel like other people already do enough of that. Because I saw on Twitter how, and again, I feel like maybe this is coming from a Casey hater, someone who doesn't like him as much. I don't know because I don't really notice these things. But I saw on Twitter how someone was saying with Anaya, he's like not as serious and he makes faces and sometimes he'll roll his eyes with her. And then they were comparing it to Soul, how he's always attentive and things like that, and not really making jokes and like listening to her. I don't really
Mhm.
know if there's a basis to that, but I do
I've
feel,
seen that too, so I know what you're talking about.
yeah, I don't know. I do feel like it's hard for him to be serious in certain moments because I don't think he thinks it's as big of a deal as Anaya does in certain moments. So I
Yeah.
think that's why he will joke or laugh or make a face because in his mind, what they're arguing about is not serious, but she is hurt and he isn't doing anything to reassure her in that sense. So.
Well, you know what's so crazy? Um, I did see that. I wrote down, right? Because Anaya and Casey, they did have a chat. I feel like Casey's not the best at expressing himself when he's upset. Um, I think that when Casey gets upset, he can be very like dismissive, rude, disrespectful sometimes. Um, and I don't think that that's how he really feels. I just think that like when it comes out, I think that he really struggles. I don't really like that either. I'm not saying I like it. I'm just saying I feel like the way I've processed it, um, because now I've seen that Casey, I mean, we don't see it in this episode necessarily play out fully with him being serious, but Casey can be serious. I think Casey just like, I don't know. I have to get to that because during their letters and all that, like I got to get there. But
She's
I think,
moved by those letters. I'm not.
no, no, no,
Unfortunately, I
no,
am not.
no, no, no.
Uh,
It's not that. I'm saying, I'm actually bringing up the letters more as like evidence for what we're talking about. Not really because of the actual letters. I'm bringing it up because I feel like um he was talking about why he's not serious, but then I noticed too, like after all of that, like after everybody was done, him and Anaya went to go have a chat. He was serious. He didn't laugh or smile or smirk or do anything in that conversation. So now I'm like, I don't know if Casey gets uncomfortable being called out. I don't know if Casey like has a hard time with this whole process because he feels like he hasn't done as much. Because he also has said to Anaya, like, I've been good, or not to Anaya, but in his confessional, he's like, I've been good to you. So I feel like some of this is he's not sincere, but obviously he's not Bryce. So he's looking at it and we've talked about this. I think Casey is looking at this like I'm not the worst there could be. But the way that he goes about situations and his dishonesty proves that like he's capable of being that bad. He's just getting away with that fact because he's been with Anaya all this time. And between the two of them, if outside voices weren't there, they really haven't had like a personal rift. You
well,
know what
here's
I'm
the
saying?
thing. This is why you should never compare because in his mind, he's been good to Anaya, but when we think about the other relationships, he's not dealing with a Melanie or a Trinity or a Kada. Anaya is someone completely different. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe you're not doing enough for her, or maybe you're not reassuring her enough. You might be thinking, oh, the way the other girls are being treated, I'm doing pretty good. But in Anaya's eyes, which I feel like she's explained to him over and over again, like she just wants to feel reassured. She doesn't want to feel like a safe option. She doesn't want to feel like you're holding yourself back because of her. And I think with
I
him,
think that's totally valid too. I
yeah,
really
it's
do.
totally valid. I think he is not being completely honest with her, but we'll hear like little side comments in his confessionals, or he'll be saying something and with the boys that it's like, why don't you just tell Anaya how you feel if you really feel that way, you
And
know?
I think too, it's like in their conversation, he said that like, oh, you said that like I'm coasting, and that like bothered him. So I think
But okay, is that a lie though? Because by the end of this week, that's low-key what's giving.
no, no, no. Listen now, I'm with you because honestly, I feel
Yeah,
like
I don't see
like
where
I'm with
that
you.
came up.
Listen,
Yeah.
listen. This week I think woke up a lot, and I'm not just speaking on Anaya and KC anymore. I think like all of those Islanders. When I tell y'all, every single one of them has made me mad in some capacity. With however, whether it's like a couple or especially the men, I'll say that
Hmm.
all of the men, every single one.
Backed it
I don't
up.
care who you ship. I don't care
Except
who
Caleb.
you.
Caleb hasn't
Yeah,
he
Caleb's
can't
actually
do
the only
anything.
one that doesn't bother me.
He can't do anything because he's not in a couple, but I don't know. I feel like I don't know. Continue.
Because we see like so even with Melanie and Sincere, right? It bothers um Sincere that Mel isn't with him, all this stuff. The way I see it, I'm like, y'all are really toxic. Like at this point, I'm like, y'all are really toxic. I
Yeah.
did put in my notes that I was like, I would only move for it if it was really resolved. If it's not really resolved, then bye bye. Like,
I feel like, and I don't know if we're getting into the letters like right after this, but I feel like Sincere has a second nature to lie because I think it was this episode, but he had a conversation with Melanie. But right before that, he was telling Soul that he wanted to have a conversation with her. But
oh,
he literally told Soul in said conversation, this is what I want. I just want to have a chat with Melanie to wrap things up, right? That's exactly what he told her. He goes to have this conversation with Melanie, and he's basically telling Melanie that he wants to be back together with her and that
right.
he doesn't feel anything for Soul. So you're literally stringing two people along. And the thing is, you're being dishonest with both of
Dishonest.
them.
Yeah.
And it's kind of scary how easily it is, or easy it is for him to lie. And then in
Because
his
Soul thinks
mind,
Sincere is all about her
but
during
and then
this.
in his mind too, he hasn't done anything wrong. He thinks he's been completely
An
honest about
angel.
everything.
Yeah.
And that to me, that's really scary because it just flows. The lies just flow out of him because he hasn't been honest with literally anyone. Like, even when
Anybody.
he goes to talk to the boys, he's like, oh,
Not honest.
50-50. I don't know
Right.
who I want. You know you want Melanie. So I'm so confused why it's so hard for you to just say how you feel, tell the truth, and just end it with Soul. I think he made it more complicated than he needed to be by
Mhm.
telling her these things, telling Melanie something different, and then you're not even being honest with your supposed friends, the boys. It's just, I don't even know how you can
I
even
honestly
forgive
don't
him.
think, and the friends of it all, I genuinely, y'all, I feel like a lot of the guys are not friends. Um, I
And
feel
I
like
disagree. I feel like they are. I
I
disagree.
I think that like there are pairs of them that are, but as far as like all of them being buddy buddy, I don't think so. I think that like I think that guy friendships, and I don't like to get involved in male friendships. I feel like male friendships work very differently. Um, because you could be cool with everybody. Like I think everybody's cool with everybody. I just think that like as far as calling somebody a friend, I don't know. I think that there's something in the water, and again, I'm not saying with every guy everyone isn't friends, but there's something in the water for sure as far as the guy friendships. Now, like I said, I don't think it's as obvious because I think guys handle friendships differently than girls do. But and I also don't think the public cares that much. But I think that like as far as this narrative, even with Zach and Bryce, like I mean, they made me mad this week, like both of them. I'm like with their friendship. But anyhow, um, I think that though Zach at minimum plants seeds and like knows exactly where everything's gonna blow up, right? And I think that's not friendly behavior to other guys. Like, I don't think he's looking at it like, oh, these guys are my friends. Let me like tell on them to their girls and then backtrack. Like, I feel like Zach is just motivated to get to the next thing. And I don't think that that's friendly behavior. I don't think the guys are recognizing it. So I think they probably think like, oh, everything's sweet. But from a viewer's perspective, I don't feel like they're all that close. I feel like they're all cool and it's just like, all right, we're all feeling the same about such and so, or we're feeling the same about whatever. But as far as the circumstances, if you're going to talk to your closer friends about your supposed friends, like I don't find that I don't find that to be friendly.
I think you can't base a real friendship based off of Love Island friendships. Because if I'm being honest, like on the guy side, yes, they probably wouldn't be friends outside of this, like in a normal setting. But I feel like the girls and the guys always operate differently. And I feel
Yeah.
like we can say the same thing about last season and how all of those friendships played out, like with the whole like Nick, Ace, and Taylor thing being a trio, like that whole thing blew up, but like they're the best of buddies like I don't know. I just feel like with the guys, even if they
That's
are
what I'm saying. I
friends,
don't
I
get
really
involved in
don't
male friendships because
care.
it's too confusing. Yeah.
Right, like I really don't care who's friends with who or not, but I do think like they are friends in terms of Love Island because I feel like there's no way that you could like be in these conversations with people. Like I've seen Casey and Bryce together. I've seen Bryce with Corbett. I've seen all of this. I've seen Zach pulling people differently. I feel like we would know if there was an underlying issue because I will say it again. Last season, we saw that Jeremiah and Ace didn't get along at all. We knew that Austin didn't get along with Ace. Like we saw that play out. I don't think if there was really a real beef that we wouldn't see that just because the producers at this
I
point
don't think there
know.
is beef though. I don't think there's beef because I don't think anyone recognizes who's their friend or not. I just think that like I think that all of the guys are cool, like I say, because guy friendships are also different. So I don't like to get too far into them, but what I will say is, I feel like all of the guys get along. I just feel like they're not. I wouldn't if I was in that villa. I feel like I would realize that all of them can't possibly be friends. Like I
I
just can't.
I think it's hard because again, the villa is such a unique experience. I feel like you're
It is.
basically
That's
forced to
true.
be friends with everyone. And if there's
That's true.
beef, and if we weren't friends, then we would know, you know? I think they all think they're friends because again, like last week when Zach or and Casey were talking about Bryce and Casey was like that's your best friend. Like, no, y'all aren't best friends, but in villa terms, okay, maybe you are. But like you said, a best friend wouldn't go behind your back and like put doubts in your head, you know?
That's what I'm saying. Like
It
I
like
don't know.
the
In girl
friendship.
in girl terms, I just feel like if they were all women or like if this was a girl friendship, like if they were the girls, everyone would be like, they're not friends. Like I just but I think
um,
guys react differently to like they respond differently to one another because they don't guy friendships anyway, even without the villa, are just different. So I just feel like
exactly. I feel like I don't think we should think too much into it because I think they think that they're all friends, but maybe that's not what a genuine friendship looks like. But in Villa
right,
terms, I feel like they think they're friends, you know? But if I'm being honest, like in the real world, I don't think they're friends. But
right.
I feel like we
Because
got
wait till
so
all of them
deep
come out.
into that.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm
No,
sorry.
it's okay.
We
I
didn't
don't
need to
even
get
know
that
what we
deep,
were
y'all.
talking about.
Anyway, moving on, y'all. Um, I thought it was funny that Trinity was irritated with Zach in their bed, like in Bryce and Trinity's bed, like Zach was there
Yeah, I
during this
will say
episode.
I did like the Bryce and Zach bromance in the beginning, but now that we know Zach's real character, and I feel like they're just showing them way too much, and I think it might just be because they knew that people liked it in the beginning, but now that we don't like Zach, it's like okay, like can we not
Like,
do
tone it
this?
down.
Like
Right.
can we see anything else?
And actually, Casey, Bryce, and Zach, I accidentally skipped over this, but they had a conversation. I thought it was kind of interesting. I feel like Bryce gave good advice in this conversation, but I will say, Casey, Zach and Kata are not the blueprint. I don't care how many times they go up and down the villa thinking that they are not. Um,
Yeah.
and in this conversation, I'm just speaking about this conversation, okay? He said that he's not interested in soul and that he's kind of like over that whole thing. I really think
Which
I
turned out
think
to be
in
a lie.
hindsight,
And
I
no,
think in hindsight,
no.
now that everything has come out, I don't think it's that he's not interested that he wasn't interested in soul. I think he was over the arguing. That's just my point of view now. At that point, I think he was over the arguing. I don't think he was disinterested in or uninterested in soul. I just think he just was over him and I arguing.
Which he should have just said that if that was
I
the
know,
case.
I know. Well,
Because
he did. He did. he said both, but I'm saying I don't think he meant the soul part. I think he just meant the Anaya
Yeah, he
part.
just shouldn't have said that he wasn't interested in Soul because clearly you were based off of
And
how
you're
you
telling
progressed.
the main villa production plant that like you're not
Exactly.
like please. And then Soul, Kenzie and Jen had a conversation. I feel like you can tell that I mean, we know now, but at this point you can tell that like Kenzie and Jen are like really close. I feel like they're closer than Jen and Soul. Um and I
Okay, I have something to say about this
go
because
ahead now.
Lindsay really rubbed me the wrong way in this
Mhm.
conversation because and I don't want to analyze her character and like throw out racist allegations,
Girl, I'm right there
but
with you. I was literally about to get there, but go ahead.
I find it really weird that when Soul walked away, she was like, because we completely skipped over the fact that Corbin and Kenzie made out and then like didn't want Caleb and Melanie
Oh,
to find
right.
out.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that happened. Corbin and
That
Kenzie made
happened.
out. But they were like trying to keep it a secret. No one cares. But anyways, so Soul like ended up leaving the conversation and Kenzie was like, well, now that Soul's gone, I can tell you that I kissed Corbin and she was like, cause I trust you. And I was like, Who is Soul going to tell? Because at this point, Soul doesn't really have any real
Having an
friends.
alliance. Right.
Exactly. So it's just like that was a weird comment. And also, some people have been pointing out that now that Melanie is when Melanie was with Corbin, there was a silent competition in Kenzie's mind between her and Melanie. And Melanie wasn't competing with you, but Kenzie would be making these weird comments with Jen on the side, being like how she doesn't like that Melanie is pursuing Corbin and how Melanie
Hmm.
acted basically with the whole Sincere situation, which is like, okay, but Sincere was also at fault in that situation. Like, why are we pinning it
Literally.
all on Melanie? And I don't know, just the way that she's moved ever since Jen entered the villa, she's kind of like separated herself from the rest of the girls and only really speaks with Jen. She'll include Soul sometimes, but it's like, I don't know. It's just weird. Again, I can't throw out racist allegations or anything like that, but she definitely has a preference.
She moves weird.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with
She moves weird because it took for Jen to come into the villa for her to have like a homegirl.
exactly,
And I feel like that like kind of said everything. And that's
exactly.
why um even in the following um episodes and stuff, I feel like after that, Kinsey like never really resorted back to the other girls that like the other OGs.
Yeah, she
She only
really
goes
kept
to
to
Jen now.
herself. Yeah, in Gem. And it's just
Right.
weird because before Jen came in, I felt like everyone was pretty close, and I did
Yeah.
feel like she was the closest with Melanie. But all of a sudden, this switch up happened, and now she has this disdain for Melanie. It's
No, literally.
weird. It's so weird.
On the topic of Kinsey though, she does have a conversation with Caleb. All I wrote in my notes, y'all, was basically Kinsey needs to hurry up and pick between Caleb and Corbin because
Which she did in this episode, but I I had such a problem with both her and Corbin because Corbin kissed Melanie the night before,
right,
right after he had made out with Kenzie.
block that tea.
And then Kenzie, the next day after making out with Corbin, she goes and tells Caleb that she wants to focus on him. Which I find weird because that's not what you were saying when you were basically coercing Corbin to kiss you. Because, okay, please tell me that you didn't get that vibe too. Because before they
No,
had
I
made
did.
out, Kenzie was telling Jen, she's like, "Ugh, I just don't even want to talk to him if he's not going to kiss me." Like, girl, do you hear how you sound? Imagine if a man said that. Like, that is
Not
a weird statement.
no shade, no shade, but that moment gave like a Huda moment for me.
Right, when she was trying to force Chris to do stuff with her in the bed, I was like,
Right. Like I was like, hello.
right, like you sound really weird right
I
now.
was like, what are we talking about? Because the and this is what I'm saying. This is Lust Island at the current moment because I don't understand. And most of the people on this island, Kenzie, the guys, whatever, I'm not understanding their thinking during this process. I don't know what production is pressing. I do know that there's an expectation to explore, but explore who you want, be respectful, and call it a day. Like
That's the kicker. The
the,
respect
the
part is not being followed. That's
at
the
all.
problem. Because even
And
if
some of them aren't even exploring for real.
the whole exploration of it all is weird, but like the respect thing is what gets me because I think that's a part of the reason that's holding KC back from exploring because he doesn't know where the line of respect is. Because if you're watching his
I
friends, his
agree.
so-called friends in the villa, the boys, a lot of them haven't been respectful. Kenzie was not respectful in her situation with Caleb because
And
you're
he's seen the
literally
outcome.
exactly. Like you're literally telling him one thing and then you're making out with Corbin on the side. It's really weird behavior. And I just don't understand. No, I get so heated about these things because I'm like, it's
No,
just
it is. It is.
it, you're not treating people right. And I hate when people don't treat others correct. Like that's so weird because you wouldn't want someone doing that to you. You would feel a certain type of way if he did exactly what you did to him. So, and
And they're so entitled. I don't understand. Like these,
yeah.
like your partner doesn't owe you anything. Like what they, as far as like, oh, I haven't done anything. So like because I haven't done anything physical, I feel like I shouldn't be punished. I feel like that's how these islanders are operating. And to be quite honest, it's very frustrating because I'm just like, no, you still owe honesty. Like if you don't like someone, then move on, right? Be single, but live in your truth. Like you don't need to string anybody along. You don't need to lie. You don't need to have a safe option. You don't need to like scheme to get to the like we don't need to be doing all of that. Like you either like the person or you don't. And when you simplify it like that, there's only one or two there's only two options. So
Exactly.
like all of this disrespectful like and I do agree with you. I don't think Casey knows where the line is because he's seen the outcome of and the wrath of like Sincere and Melanie stuff, and then he's seen like Zach and Kata basically do nothing. But then at the same time, it's like Zach, we don't really know if he's interested in Kata for real. So it's like there's so many layers to the situation. But the thing is, it's like, yes, people are going to be emotional. Yes, there's going to be some kind of aftermath. Yes, there might be a conversation. But if you're honest through it all, nobody can fault you. Like nobody can fault you.
And
If
see, can we just say, like, say what
wake it
you
up,
want about Bryce, but he did exactly what you're saying with the whole Kata situation. But Casey, I've come to realize, doesn't respect Bryce and Trinity's relationship because he doesn't think they're strong. But mind you, if we're waking it up, they're the only ones who have been completely honest with each other from start to begin or start to finish, you know? Like they
mm-hmm,
every time they're thinking about exploring or they feel unsure in the relationship, they have a conversation and then they work it out. Nobody else is doing that. It's either
right.
lying from one end, hiding something on another end. I don't know.
I
And
don't understand it.
yeah, but it is what it is. Moving on from like Kenzie, I
Literally.
can't. I don't know. She just caused
Thing.
a whole thing. But
No, because we need to wake her up. Like seriously, I'm sick of her. Okay,
America is too. Even
we're all tired
um her supporters are starting to turn.
because she's being ridiculous. She's
She
genuinely
is.
being ridiculous. Like
Is.
and to be honest, not only her, but so many of them think that they're entitled to to some information or like they feel like they're not in the wrong. And I'm like, what is the problem? But anyway, y'all, let's
I'm
get into this
sincere.
tea. He's the most entitled and he's done the worst. Like, please sit
Exactly.
down.
Like,
Um,
please.
let's wake it up, y'all. It's time for the letters. Uh,
This challenge.
let's wake it up.
This challenge.
Um, so we're gonna actually go through this very quickly. I don't feel like this is that serious, to be honest. Of RIP to the producer that did pass away. I
Yeah,
think that this episode was kind of made to be
a tribute to
calm.
him. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think it was meant to rile anybody up. You know what I mean? So let's just get through it. So Bryce and Trinity, obviously, they wrote letters to each other. They coupled up. They were the first couple to go. Thought it was excellent. Thought
Yes,
both of them had positive things to say.
my family
Yada
was
yada
there.
yada. I can't
My
with you.
Love Island
Um,
family.
Guys, if you don't know, I do like Brinity. Okay, it's not even
That's
that.
Maya tried to.
No, I have to tell you from the beginning that I like them. They just weren't my favorite, but I never said I didn't like them. Don't do me. Don't do
No,
me.
you're just funny because no one said that you didn't like this. Now you trying to reassure the audience that you like this. That's
Girl, I
so
gotta make
funny.
my stance clear. I feel like because I'm such a Trinity lover, like y'all, I love Trinity. I genuinely feel like she's like my comedic relief during a lot of these episodes because she's so chill. She carries herself like a lady, and honestly, like she's just great. She's honest. She's real. I love her. Right
Mhm.
now, again, even though Bryce isn't like my favorite person or favorite Islander ever of all time, like I do think the way that he's moved with Trinity is I guess honorable is the word. Like it is something that I think he has done well. I do not agree with a lot of the things that Bryce has said recently. I think sometimes Bryce feels more insecure in that relationship than she does. I don't understand why. But anyway,
I
there's
feel like I'm gonna defend Bryce because I
go
think some
ahead.
people are blowing it out of proportion a little, just a little.
Can I say okay, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
I think yes, Bryce is insecure, but I feel like it's hard to really feel secure in a relationship where you're constantly being told that they don't like you or you're not their traditional type. Not saying that Trinity is telling him this, but like hearing it from his friends, like he knows that he's not her traditional type, and maybe this is something that's really important for him. I think yes, the insecurity does get brought up a lot, but I do think that him and Trinity do a good job of reassuring each other. And I don't think Bryce is like as insecure as people think now. Like in the beginning, yes, but I don't think now that he's that insecure about their relationship. But that's just me. I support him and I see him. So that's all I'm
I,
gonna say.
I
That's
love
all I'm
it.
gonna say.
I'll say this though, in terms of the whole KC and Bryce thing, I will say, and we're gonna finish up the letters, y'all, but I will say that I've rewatched that scene a couple of times where the guys were in the kitchen and everybody was talking about the couples and all that. Bryce inserted himself in that conversation. Nobody was talking to Bryce. Sincere and
But
KC were
okay, so
talking.
Maya,
Okay,
you
no,
know
no,
that
no,
no,
no.
no, I'm not gonna do this because KC literally said in that conversation that he was the only one that stuck around, and Zach and Bryce were like, "What about us?" And
No, no, no. He said him and Zach. Zach didn't say what about us.
I'm
Bryce
pretty
said,
sure he
what
said
about
he was
me?
the only one stuck in
No, no, he
stuck
didn't. I'm
around.
telling you. I rewatched the conversation before we got on the phone because I was like, I'm trying to see like what happened there because I wasn't really paying attention when the episode aired, if I'm honest. But I think because I didn't think it was that serious. But
It's really not.
it's not. But I'm gonna say he didn't say that. He said that he was only talking to Sincere, and he was like, "Oh yeah, like we bet, like me and I had better have been up there because we're strong." Blah blah. I thought that was
Which
weird,
is a
but I don't think
Freudian
he was
slip.
targeting Bryce. I think Bryce inserted himself into the conversation because he was not talking
Because,
about Bryce. He said
okay,
me and
but
Zach,
because he said that me and Zach are the strongest, and it's like,
but
okay,
his reasoning was like what
it was
basically.
stupid.
No, not really,
It was
not
stupid
really.
because of
It wasn't.
the little slip up that was barely a slip up where he
No, but what I'm
Kayla,
saying is, but that's basically what like Zach's been saying the whole time. So what I'm saying is like him saying it doesn't like make it different. I mean, him and Zach are the only people that haven't explored. I'm not saying that they're the strongest because of it. I'm just saying he wasn't calling out Bryce. He was basically just saying like, "Oh, me and Zach are the strongest," because basically he was justifying what he said to Sincere about. Well, me and Anaya haven't moved, and neither had Zach and Kata. I think that's all he was trying to say. I don't think it should have been like that deep because I don't think he was targeting Bryce. Because if you look at everybody else, everyone else also hasn't been in anything stable.
Okay,
So
so maybe Bryce did insert himself in it, but it was still a weird comment at the end of the day. However you want to look at it, because I'm just saying, why do you think that you should have been in the top four just because you stayed loyal when two other couples have stayed loyal the entire time? Like that to me is weird. And it's like, oh, so did you really want to explore Seoul and you were just sticking with Anaya because you were basically
no,
cheating? I
listen,
don't
listen.
know.
He also no. This is what I'm saying. He revealed his hand by saying that. I'm not saying what he said was like great. I'm just saying I don't think what he was saying was targeted at Bryce. That's all I'm saying. I
I
don't
don't
think it was
know.
like I don't think it was like because he wasn't talking to Bryce. That's why I don't feel like it was targeted at him. I think he was just saying, like, based on what he had told Sincere, even before he included Zach, he was just like, oh, we better have been in the top four because we didn't like, we haven't moved from each other. That's all he was saying. That's all I got out of that. But anyway,
I
anyway,
mean, at the end of the day, you can think Bryce was wrong for making it a bigger deal than what it was. I don't know. I
I
think,
don't think he was wrong. I think he inserted himself and like it just didn't have. Casey could have revealed his hand without Bryce getting in it. That's what I'm saying.
but again, like
Because he already had. By him saying
he's
that him and
already
Anaya,
revealed his hands.
no,
Like, and I think
listen,
everything happens for a reason because if Bryce didn't react the way he did and he didn't take that trip to Trinity, then Anaya wouldn't have known what had been said. So I think,
right. But also, Bryce also contradicted himself because Bryce, when he was in front of the guys, that's not what Bryce said. That's not what he said. He said that Casey wanted to like vote out Soul. Do I believe Casey wanted to vote out Soul? No, but that's what he said. So when he was talking to Trinity,
I don't think that is what was said.
that is
Just
what
to
he
be honest.
said.
I
I
don't
promise.
see, I maybe I need to go and watch it back, but
It wasn't like a moment because the guys and the girls were just debriefing. But I mean, that's what he said. That's why when he went to Trinity, Trinity said something different. Now again, I don't necessarily I think that I agree with Trinity in saying that Casey was ignorant for saying like whatever his stance was on Trinity, like that was ignorant. But like that's not exactly what he said. That's not what he said in front of Casey. That's what I'm saying. In front of all those guys, he was like, I know you wanted to vote out Soul. That's what
I
and then
have
he
to
went to
go back
Trinity.
and watch it because that's not what happened. He was like one of the only ones who wanted to save Soul, is what I thought
No,
was
but I,
said.
I know, I know. But I'm saying when Bryce was talking to the guys about it, he said, oh, Casey, you're one of the ones that wanted Soul out. That's what he said. I'm not
And
saying
that's what
Casey
I'm
wanted to.
saying. I don't remember him saying that. So I have to go back and watch it because I don't think, from my memory, I don't remember him saying that. I only remember him saying he was one of the ones who wanted to save Soul, which is what happened. Because they were asking him if
I don't know.
it, no, though, hear me out. They were asking him if Soul was kept, would you explore it? Which I think,
No, yes, that's what I'm saying. That part is right, but I'm saying like later, I think it was like after one of the challenges. But later, Bryce was like, "Oh, you're one of the ones that wanted Soul out." That's what I'm talking about. Not when they were sitting at the fire pit. It was after that.
I feel like
It
we're
was before
going
he
in
went to.
circles.
We are anyway, y'all. So
Yeah.
the veil challenge,
Yeah.
the veil. Bryce and Trinity were adorable. I thought that is were cute. Anywho, then it was Gabe and Jen. um, it was fine. I thought it was cute that she was trying to learn Portuguese. That's nice. Um, then then it was Anaya and Casey. They went. I thought their letters were fine. I thought they were cute. Whatever. Um, who went after them? Was it Corbin and Kenzie?
I think so.
I stopped writing after that because I was just overly emotional.
I think it was Kenzie and no, was it no, I think it was Kenzie and Caleb. I
Okay, yeah.
think.
Caleb ain't had nothing in his mailbox. Poor fella.
Yeah.
Um, and Corbin wrote for Kenzie. Kenzie wrote for Corbin. They coupled up. Bada bing, bada boom. Uh, Melanie and Sincere went. Sincere didn't write for Soul, he wrote for Melanie, and Melanie wrote for Sincere. They're coupled up again, and here, and there we have it, y'all. Like, I mean, back to square one with Sincere Melanie. I don't know how everything's gonna go, but yeah, that's basically where the episode let off. Again, RIP to the producer that passed away. I know that that was a real shock to the Islanders, and I'm sure to Ariana, who's the host. Um, and yeah, it was a pretty calm episode for the most part as far as the letters were concerned. So yeah, any final thoughts, Jordy?
On the letters, no.
Okay. Woo! We did it, y'all. Uh,
Okay. So while we had our little like break, I went back and I watched the clip of Bryce saying what he said after the challenge to like Casey and the boys. And what he said was that he did what he did in the challenge because Casey was going and telling people that it wasn't my vote to get Soul out. And then he said after that, but we gave you the opportunity to keep her if you wanted to. So that is what he said.
okay. All right.
It wasn't, oh, you wanted to get Soul out. I just wanted to clarify that because I'm like, I know I'm not crazy. I don't think he said that. He did
No,
not say that.
it's crazy because honestly, because I think so the problem really didn't come from that. I don't know. My timeline is so like all over the place right now. But considering all things being considered that happened during this week, y'all with Casey and Anaya, truly it's everywhere. But I think people were like confused anyway, and it really didn't have anything to do with Bryce. It had more to do with Trinity. Now, again, I don't think like she said anything wrong or anything. Like I don't think that. I just think like people were kind of confusing it because the fact of the matter was, um, I think people kind of took it as, and again, this isn't me. I'm just saying like what I saw. I feel like people kind of took it as like, oh, like Trinity twisted whatever Bryce had said. And so I was kind of like, did she or didn't she? Like, I don't remember her doing that, but like, whatever. I don't know.
I think it's hard. I don't know. I just get so like passionate about this because I feel like people have always like this entire season have been like making things up or not making things up, but like creating problems to hate Bryce for no reason. And it's just like in the
It
grand
is
scheme
weird.
of things,
Yeah, it
he
is weird.
has done the least amount of things. Like if you want to be mad at him about that, it's whatever. I don't care. I'm just saying, like,
I'm not even mad at Bryce. I just think, well, you know, we're on different sides of Twitter too. So it's like everyone's gonna have their own whatever from the episode, whether they make it up or not. Everyone's got their own thing.
no, and I
Um,
totally get that. I just like, I personally, if you're gonna have a problem with someone, and I'm not saying this is you, I'm talking about like his haters, at
you're
least
good.
be factual. How, like, if you're saying that he Trinity twisted his words, like if you're gonna have a problem with them, at least be factual about like what's
Well,
happening.
that's why I was confused because, like I said, initially when the episode aired, like everyone kind of like picked up on it quickly. I think it more or less had to do with the Zach of it all, as it always does. But
Yeah,
because since they're always together, that's really my only problem. And I think that's what you said too. Um,
yeah.
it's who Zach's around because the problem is too because they are so close. He's getting a lot of blame because he's with
And
him in these conversations.
I think he should because in that regard, because when Zach was like getting upset about the dumping or whatever and like coming at the girls and Bryce was kind of
Oh
like
yeah, guys,
backing
let's
him on
get
that.
there. Let's get into that.
Yeah, so basically America, we got to decide who our favorite couple was.
They didn't use it.
They definitely rigged it, but that's neither here nor there. So Bryce and Trinity, Casey and Anaya, Melanie and Sincere, and Kata and Zach were all in the top four, which meant that Gabriel, Corbin, Caleb, Sol, Jen, and Kinsey were all vulnerable. So the boys got to choose which girl they wanted to dump, and the girls got to choose which boy they wanted to dump. The boys chose to dump Soul because they thought that she didn't have a strong connection for obvious reasons because of Sincere. Whatever. And then the girls chose to dump Gabriel because they felt as though he wasn't going to make a real connection because he moved on from Bea really quickly and he was acting very lustfully, which is true. I think both points were valid. I don't like the circumstances of which Soul was dumped because I think them making Sincere say the whole speech, that was crazy to me. Why
That
is
was
he the one
wild.
doing it? I don't know. It felt very mean-spirited. But that's neither here nor there. But the
I
girls,
think Sincere wanted to do it too. I don't even think that anyone like volunteered him. I just think like he just wanted to get his last laugh, and I just feel like that's awful.
I agree. I agree. But after the whole dumping, the boys and the girls are at a standstill because the boys don't understand why the girls decided to dump Gabriel. And Zach, being messy and sassy as he is, he makes a couple comments about how the girls
I
are.
do want to point out too that this happens every year, um, where they have like this really big dramatic dumping, and production knows when it comes in. The boys typically get really mad that the girls didn't think logically to dump, whatever. This happened with season six, season seven, and now we're in season eight, and it's happening again. Obviously, we see seasons before that, y'all, and it's kind of different. I think after season six, a lot of things changed with Love Island anyway. But because that they saw that when Andrea got dumped, that was a peak episode. Last year, it was Jeremiah and Hannah. That was a peak episode. So like this, I think that they wanted to drive that drama. I don't think it really drove the same way. I really don't. Um,
I think
it
it did
was,
try for us because we didn't care that Gabriel went home.
you're
But
right.
like, I feel like with the Andrea dumping, I personally didn't care, but I feel like there was a big reaction for that. And with the Jeremiah dumping, we were all just confused where that came from because he did have a connection. So it's just like, well, at the time he was building one with Andrina. So, but for this one, everyone would have been fine with Gabriel going home.
All six of them, I was fine. So either
Right.
way, I don't think I would have crashed out. I don't really think the internet, because Soul left, and I feel like Soul was liked out of a lot out of the six of them. So was Caleb, but obviously he stayed. So I feel like if she didn't get this big reaction, whatever, I feel like none of them were really going to,
I
because the public doesn't really like Corbin and Kinsey from what I've gathered. Like they didn't get a lot of votes, which is why they're at the bottom to begin with. And Gabriel and Jen were just kind of there in the midst of it all. And then obviously Caleb and Soul got paired together by default due to the letters the night before. So like for me, you weren't getting a big reaction. I knew somebody, I mean, at the end of the day, I think that um there I think that if you're asking me, all of them could have left it. I probably wouldn't have felt away. I did find it weird that Zach and Kato weren't at the bottom.
mhm.
Um,
And
but that was like my only tiff with it, to be honest.
I was so confident that they were gonna be in the bottom. And when their name got read or said by Ariana, I was like, hold on. Like the
I was
production
like, that ain't
really
right.
had their foot in it. Cause I think Kata is liked, but in the grand scheme of things, I don't think and this is just my opinion based off what I saw in my timeline of like who was voting for who, because there was polls everywhere. I don't think she has a big enough fan base to pull her and Zach out of the bottom. I really think production is keeping him around. But with that being said, it is what it is at this point.
No, literally, because also, um, it's kind of hard because I honestly feel like Zach and Kata aren't any better than the people that were at the bottom. But also, it's like I don't really feel like the people at the bottom had enough pull either. So it's just like I, I think Kata's fan base is bigger than some of the people that were at the bottom. But I think it's hard too because, like you said on my timeline, I didn't see anyone voting for Zach and Kata, so it was just kind of weird to like wrap my head around all of that. But I do know that people like Melanie Anaya, Trinity, and Kata. So I was like, if they're pulling, it's definitely because of her and not because of Zach.
Yeah.
But Zach thinks he's big man on campus, so
And
there's
I
that as
hate
well.
that I feel like his ego was boosted because
It
of this
was.
favorite couple vote. Because if it was favorite Islander vote, I feel like that would be a different story for sure.
See, and they didn't even use our favorite couple vote because at the end of the day, if Zach and Kata were at the bottom, then the Islanders probably wouldn't. If they really put them at the bottom, meaning like if they were standing up there, the Islanders probably wouldn't have even had to vote for like who they wanted to stay and go. I think that
Yeah.
they just would have dumped Zach and Kata. But to your point, I think that the production plan of it all definitely showed the production hand in it. So um, I think that them getting riled up about this was so like I just knew that production was looking for like a mid-season something big tiff with the Villa because that's what they've been doing for the past 2 years. But the first time it happened, it was like genuine. Like it was more not saying that the Islanders in this case weren't upset, but it was like the audience's reaction was like truly like, whoa, what's going on? Last year it was kind of like, all right, we're upset, but I feel like last year, um, because it kind of worked because of like Jeremiah and Hannah, and like obviously Amaya crying, all that went viral, all that stuff. So I feel like this year they were trying to recreate that, but then Zach's like, "Oh, we're all friends. No, don't sweat it. Everyone's hugging at the end."
Hmm.
you know, the
Yeah.
next day everyone moves on. Like it was never that serious.
Yeah.
Um, so anywho, episode 14.
Yeah. The
Um,
I guess we're like kind of is that where we're at? Like
yes,
I feel like okay, I'm like the
yeah, because I was gonna talk about soul clocking sincere.
okay. Yeah. Yeah, okay.
Okay, let's get into it, y'all, because this week has had me like genuinely sincere, even during the dumping. Yeah, I'm sick of the side comments. You're not all that. I'm gonna need you to pipe down.
That's where I go back to like just the way he's spoken to Soul, spoken about her after this entire aftermath of him recoupling with Melanie. I genuinely find it so scary that he doesn't see what he has done wrong in the situation because, and we can get into it when he was having his conversation with Soul and she was like whacking him. He
Over and
basically
over.
said, so you think I'm the only one who's done something wrong? And I would have said yes, because well, she
Yeah,
basically
you are.
said, she was like, so what have I done? And you can't even say anything because she didn't do anything, you know? So
Can
it's
I
just
just
like,
say, every single person that got whacked this episode, I let's just say my notes are full of laughing emojis because I was like, yes, this is this is TV, okay? And
yeah,
Soul was just like the kickoff of that because obviously I felt bad for her and Caleb. I think we actually skipped ahead because I think the dumping was at the end of the episode.
yeah, the dumping was at the end of that, and then
So
the
just letting y'all know, Gabe and Soul were dumped from the island, and they will be on After Sun tonight. So we will hear all of their thoughts, and I will be tuning into the episode. I've already seen some things online regarding Soul and her stance on some things, so we'll hope for the best. But she was hilarious, clocking Sincere.
Mhm.
Sincere immediately getting defensive. I was living. I think that like she made herself perfectly clear. I think Sincere led her on. I think Sincere obviously lied to her. And the poor girl is now dumped and, she's not happy. Um,
Yeah.
so, um, Melanie and Sincere, I think that they had a conversation. Um, and I think my comment was basically like, are you really done exploring to Sincere?
And we
Um,
all know that he's not. Once he's separated from Melanie, his real self will get shown in Casa again, which to be honest, I don't
I need
even
that.
care about that anymore. I really want Melanie to find someone away from him, but to be honest, I don't know if Melanie will because she likes him so much. which I can't even wrap my head around because it's such a little time frame that I'm like, what do you like about this
Now
person?
you know they have no concept of time, but we're over here like,
No,
girl,
I get it, but like, can you please tell me exactly what you like about him? Because
yeah.
I'm not seeing it. Like it can't, to me, these feelings that she's having can't really be real just from what he's shown you. Like he's
I
shown
think that
you.
they have strong chemistry, and I think that that's what she's feeling. But like in terms of them actually being in a committed relationship, no, babe.
Well, because she keeps saying that she sees herself outside of this experience with him, but I don't.
Did you hear the girlfriend comment?
I did, and I chose to ignore it. Um,
Me too.
because I'm just like, okay, you're not being serious. And let's talk about it. The season 7 would have had a field day with him because at this point it's giving love bombing for real, for real. Like no shade with
When
the
I tell you
girlfriend thing.
sincere, what is the definition of what love bombing is, and it's the most toxic kind because he's a pathological liar. Like genuinely, I can't get with the program because at the end of the day, it, Sincere has not been good to Melanie. He has not been good to Soul. Has he been a good friend to some of the girls? Sure, we'll give him that. But at the end of the day, this show is about being in a couple. This show is about being in a relationship. And he has not been a good partner. Matter of fact, he's been the most entitled person there and has lied the most so easily to these women. And Soul had every right to crash out. Even Melanie, when they were going through their things, she had a right to crash out. Everyone, like sincere, all these again, the entitlement is through the roof. Um, and I feel like I just feel like sincere is the complete opposite of his name.
Oh, for
And
sure. He should be called deceitful, disingenuous, liar, insincere,
dishonesty,
dishonest.
right?
Dishonesty
All that.
is a great new name for him. That's I would tell
Yeah.
him that to his face.
Sinister, all of that. Bring all that to the front.
The
Corbin and Kinsey, they also had a conversation. Honestly, y'all, Corbin gives me the egg every time he talks. It just, um, because Kinsey said something like, she misses kissing him, and I'm like, girl, you kiss him all the time. Just
literally, like when have you not kissed him? Like even
I'm
when
like,
y'all haven't
what?
been in a couple, y'all have kissed multiple times.
Easily. Then with Casey and Anaya, they were like, Casey, that this is after the letters. He was just like the words weren't wording, all that stuff. They had a whole conversation about it. Um, I honestly feel like the sole issue isn't really that big of a deal. Like in the grandest scheme of things, it's not that deep. But Casey just keeps lying to her and like, or just leaving things out and not saying things, whatever, however we want to say it. And that's what's causing the bigger issue. But like them actually being in a couple isn't like all of whatever's going on with them in terms of the exploring, like I've been saying, these islanders can only explore to a certain extent in terms of like whoever they're paired with. Um, that might be like for Anaya, Casey's kind of her only option right now. So I think like what I was saying last week too was to some level they can only explore to whoever's interested in them back. Like they can only do but so much. The problem with KC is because he keeps mentioning exploring and never actually doing it and then never actually telling Anaya the truth, that is the problem. But the exploring of it all really isn't that big of a deal, and I feel like the argument was sort of unnecessary in the sense of the issue isn't about Soul really. Like it's not really about her. It's about the fact that like if you're being dishonest, then that's a problem. Like that's a red flag. Those are where the issues are concerned. I think them not being able to effectively communicate is also an issue. And I think that that's been an issue for them for a while because like you said earlier, Anaya, no matter what she's heard from other Islanders about Casey, she's never directly gone to Casey after she's heard whatever. She's just been like in this limbo with her own self. And Anaya is someone that needs a lot of reassurance. So the fact of the matter is, when they're done talking, she always says that Casey gives her a lot of reassurance. But it's like, because she does. But the thing is, um, I'm like, I don't know what Casey is like saying or not saying to make her feel reassured, but like there's been moments when she's felt very reassured by him. So, which is why all this chaos and confusion like messes with her. And then she overthinks, and then Casey's not honest, and then it's all these things. So, I feel like those are more of their issues and less of like Soul. Because to be honest with you, Stoll left and they still didn't do it. They still didn't really explore anything. They just talked about it, but there was
I
nothing really
don't
done.
I don't think Soul was interested in him
I don't either.
and
I don't
that
either.
because Casey, even when like before the dumping and Casey and Bryce had pulled Soul, I don't think that she was really interested in him based on that because I don't know like what is he isn't getting about this exploring situation and like the whole soul thing of it all, like you said, that's irrelevant. I think he keeps making it relevant because he keeps bringing her up and she's gone. Like the fact that he kept talking about her after the dumping and being like, Soul taught me a lot of things and like I regret not exploring with Soul. Okay, well that's done. You like have to move on from it. You really like she's not
Like
gonna
literally, Casa is tomorrow, y'all. It's starting, and thank God because all of those Islanders need to explore. Like seriously, I mean, now if they're actually going to, I don't know. Everyone's different, but I think that like most of them, if not all of them, need to at least have other conversations with people. I think that no matter how strong you are, aren't in the villa, or however everyone's ranking themselves in the villa, because that's what half of them are doing, and it's making me upset. I'm like, why
yeah,
are you
that's
doing all that all out in the
irrelevant.
open? Right? Like, who cares? We're ranking you. We're voting for you, not you, not y'all. Like, y'all don't get the last word most of the
But
time. It's either production or it's us.
at the end of the day, this just shows that some of them are treating this as a game because it is a game.
It does.
And
It
like some
is.
aspects, it is a game because they're winning money at the end of it and you're ranked at the end of it. So
You
like,
know, it's so funny too. I just read this tweet, so I'm just tying it into what you said. Someone tweeted, they were like, it's so funny how everyone always like calls the boys out for scamming, but no one ever talks about the girls. And I thought about that. Not that I ever think the girls are scamming, but it's just I was like, wow, like no one ever like brings that up. And
because
I'm
you know
just
what
like,
it is? The girls are always completely honest with how they feel and their emotions and how they feel about their couple. They've
and
never
this is a
gone
girl
to
show.
their, exactly. They've never gone back to the girls and been like, oh, I wish I would have explored with this person and like done this or like planted seeds of doubt and everything. They're real and open and honest about their feelings with each other, with their partner, with the audience. There's no
Hmm.
reason for us to think that they're scamming because no girl up until this point has come in and like hid their feelings.
That's true. And this show has predominantly women watching it. It always has.
Mhm.
I think as of recently, in recent seasons, more men have watched it. You know, people watch it with their husbands, boyfriends, etc.
Mhm.
But in the past, y'all, like literally, uh, it's been pretty much a girl-driven show. So, in terms of voting, stand culture, all that, that's all been mostly women. So, anywho, um, I put in my notes and said everyone seems happy except Sol and Caleb at this point, and I said I feel really bad for them honestly because Kenzie and Sincere they played um,
Yeah.
hard. I feel like they did get the short end of the stick at some level because I feel like they weren't given a full opportunity to really get to know someone that was genuinely interested in them. They just kind of were stuck with these people like playing in their face, and both of them ultimately ended up, you know, single. So it's Soul is like fed up with the whole situation. She's fed up with the whole everything. Um, and Zach had a conversation with Caleb, And I only paid attention because I was like, he said something that along these lines, and I commented on it. Zach said that he's trying to figure out what Caleb's plan is, like going forward after all of this with Soul and everything. He's trying to figure out what his plan is. I'm like, why are you trying to figure out everyone's plan? Like Caleb doesn't have a plan right now. There's no girls that want to be with him, so there is no plan.
Also, the fact that he was like, you should talk to everyone, even pull Kata. It's like, again, you are trying your darndest to get away from Kata, is what it's giving. Like, why? I don't know. I don't even care at this point. Like, if they stay together, I'm sorry, Kata, but you're not touching that 100K like at all.
Oh, they will definitely not be seeing. I don't even need them. I want Kata to see the final, but Zach can go bye
I don't
bye.
even need Kata to see the final if she's gonna stick with him. I'm sorry. I feel like this man is giving her ample opportunity to.
Yeah, but I'm also thinking I'm more or less thinking I don't need her to be with Zach either. But I'm thinking more in terms of the public. And I think at this point, unless someone like again, Casa's coming, y'all, so like anything can change. And most things probably will. But I think right now, I don't see the public picking like Kenzie over her or
Oh,
Jen over her. You know what I mean? So like I think as of right now, Kata can see my final if she's not with
I mean, I think
um
realistically, they're going to, she's going to see the final, like based on the girls we have left. But
yeah. I think Zach has some internal things going on that have nothing to do with Kata. Because he kind of in this episode, he was kind of like anytime Kata has a conversation or anything, he kind of projects, I've noticed. And I'm just like, if not this, then what? Because I don't understand. I really just don't understand him.
yeah, I don't
I
either.
feel like Bryce and Trinity, this episode, they were cute. I feel like they're very opposites attract, and I feel like you've said this before too. I feel like they're like not meant to be, but like are. And I really like them together. Um, and yeah, um, then I crashed out because I said in my notes, I was like, oh, I was like, Casey, if you want a soul, please go home with her. I don't have time. I don't have time for this. Like,
Yeah,
I
at
don't.
the end of the day, I think because I think they should like tie into our predictions kind of because I feel like we said like pretty much everything we can say
We have.
about episodes. I feel like as far as moving forward, I think like you've
For
reiterated,
Casa, y'all. This is for
yeah,
Casa
for
because it's coming
Casa.
up.
I think if he wants to explore so badly, now is your time. You're not gonna have Anaya in the background. If you feel like this is not your strongest connection, because at the end of the day, I feel like that is what his underlying feelings are, but he's not expressing that maybe. Maybe he does like Anaya, but maybe he thinks there could be more or a better connection with someone else. That's fine. That's valid, but you have to express that instead of kind of like
And
hiding
act
it.
on it.
Exactly and act on it. So going forward, Casa Amores tomorrow. Y'all are separated.
Woo!
Please, please explore. Because if he's moping around that villa, Samaya, I'm done. I'm genuinely done.
Honestly, he can only mope if he explores. Genuinely, I feel like if he really tries, if he really tries and like hypothetically, y'all, I'm literally speaking hypothetically because honestly, I think all of them are going to explore and have a ball. And this is like the
As
first
they
Casa where I'm
should, girls
genuinely
and
not
guys.
caring or worried.
No,
Um,
girls and guys, they all need to explore. They all need to figure things out because at the end of the day, look, this whole exploring thing has become too much. They're putting too many stakes in it. Go and do your thing and come back as long as you're honest about it. I really don't care what happens either
I
way.
don't even care at this point. I don't know what they're going to do. Casa. I'm sure everyone's going to be a menace, especially the boys.
Yeah.
But girls be menaces too. Like we need y'all. Like my thing is, and I'm not saying everyone is going to, because like we said, I don't know guys or girls. I don't know how everyone's gonna act. I don't even know as far as Casa people. I don't know. I know there is someone coming in for my predictions are sorry. I'm everywhere. Um
No, it's okay. It's okay.
couple by couple, Melanie and Sincere will explore. There's going to be someone coming in for Sincere, likely, to be honest,
I think
because I
there's
think
someone coming in for everyone. Like this is the time where they need to pull everyone's type, like genuinely pull everyone's type, send in one guy and one girl for each couple. Boom, bada bing, bada bang. Let's see how everyone really acts. Like, let's see.
because that's real. But I'm saying like, and I think too, like with production is definitely cooking up something for Casey and Anaya for sure. Like they want them to explore because that's been their whole storyline. Um,
Yeah,
Sincere, they want to prove whatever they need to prove so that way when movie night comes, if they do it this year, which I pray that they will,
I
um,
really hope so.
I
'Cause
think
I
I
feel
think
like
that they
last
should.
season was an anomaly.
Yeah, and that's what it should remain. Um,
Exactly.
Melanie, I think like she'll do stuff. I think that she'll miss Sincere. Zach needs to do whatever he needs to do because he don't like Kata. Um,
And he's going to.
and he
I
will.
fully believe that. Because again,
Yeah,
if these girls are not in your face, and that's the thing that's like been keeping them tame, not Sincere. Sincere does whatever he wants. But the for the other guys, I feel like that's what's been keeping you in. The girls are right there. They can see what you're doing, or they're gonna hear about it, you know? But like
yeah.
now, you're all alone with your boys. They're gonna hype you up regardless. He's gonna act out. I
Just everyone telling each other exactly. So
like
y'all can all tell each other
idiots.
exactly at Casa, right?
Exactly, like idiots.
Right. Kiki at Casa. That's what I need.
Exactly. And
Um,
this is the first time we as viewers are championing this behavior.
no, actually, because last year I just didn't care because everyone was in like
No one was
basically
serious.
single. Right. So
Stupidest thing ever. I'm like, what are we doing? What are we doing? I think Taylor
Casa
and
was long.
Melandria and like, because I can't even remember if Ace and Shelly were together at this point. Were they in a couple?
They were.
They were. But I don't even know. Like the fact that Taylor
Nobody cared.
are one
Like
of the
nobody cared.
strongest couples at that point, that should tell us everything we need to
They
know.
were not, please. I
But they
literally
were just
I never championed them anyway. So for me, I was like, listen, everybody's about to show their hand. Um,
if they did,
Kata, I want to explore. I think she'll have conversations. Will she really genuinely put her all into it? I don't know.
I think so.
Who's left? Kinsey and Corbin. I think Corbin will explore, to be honest. Kinsey, I think she'll do what she's been doing. Um, she might feel a way knowing her, but like I think she'll do her thing. Um, Jen, honey, explore. Go ahead. Caleb, honey, explore. Go ahead. Um, and then who am I thinking of? Is that all? Oh,
Um,
Bryce and Trinity.
well,
Um,
I think Trinity and Bryce will talk to people, but
I
I
don't know if the, yeah,
I
I'm
don't
with
see
you.
them
I already
being
know what you're gonna say.
yeah, I don't know. And I don't even think I'm being biased at this point when I say that like I don't see
No, you're
them
not.
doing
I don't really see them doing a lot.
just because
Trinity
yeah.
Trinity might do more. She might, like in terms of like opening herself up to the experience. But I think like overall, like if we're comparing it to everybody else, I don't think they'll do a lot. But too, in Casa, everyone's like forced to
Sleep in a bed with someone
like sleep in the bed,
unless
do all
they
the
choose to
challenges
sleep
wholeheartedly.
outside.
Like everyone's kind of forced to do all that. So it's kind of
Well, they can choose to sleep outside. Like that is a choice that people have made in the past.
they can, but I'm saying I think in terms of the challenges and like the kissing and all that stuff, everyone just got to do what they got to do. So
Yeah.
I think like, and that's what Costa is for, to force you out of that comfort zone of exploring and get your groove back.
Yes,
Um,
they're gonna rip the villain down to the studs, and I
girl,
cannot wait.
I
I've never been
cannot
this
wait.
excited for Casa more.
Actually, like, I'm actually so happy that I won't be like stressing.
No,
I'll
literally,
just be like, girl, guys, get your groove back. That's what I need. Shoot.
this kind of does tie into like the tweet that I
Go ahead, tie it in. Yeah, I have mine ready.
so this cracks. I'm like so. This I was crying for a couple minutes after watching this. Someone said on Twitter, "Movie night is gonna burn this villa to the ground," and it's this video. Ugh, I hate when my phone does this. It's this video of like this girl setting like things on fire. It's so funny.
Oh
I'll
my
send it to
gosh.
you. I'll send it to you.
Okay. Um, y'all, y'all know that I'm not the biggest fan of Corbin. Um, so I have to hop on the chat GPT of it all. Um,
GPT.
this is mine. Oh wait, let me turn my brightness up. So this is mine. Yeah, mine's also messing up. But basically it says Corbin and it has it abbreviated. Computer operated robotic Bluetooth intelligent nanobot. I and it's literally him. It's a picture of him and he looks like he's recharging. I
Literally.
cannot.
The fact that he sleeps like that unironically too is so funny
Like
because
he
he's
just
been
does
getting
it on
run
purpose.
by robot allegations.
No, literally it is the funniest thing. I have one more and it says this this trio is starting to make sense. The way they was uh planning World Thought Nation and it's a picture of Sincere, Casey, and Kinsey.
I can't. That evil trio.
Evil triplets right there. I tell you, they
In the
have done
beginning,
things with this season. I'm telling you.
and in the beginning, it didn't make sense, but like
Right.
I
But
was like
like
trying to make it sense.
now I'm seeing it
No,
for
yeah,
real.
this episode we really got into it for
Girl, we got into the
first time
we
me and Samaya have argued on a podcast episode.
we were beefing like why? I don't even
No,
understand.
it's all
Because it was
good.
never that
It was
serious,
never
right?
that serious.
Never that serious. Y'all, if you hear us beefing on this podcast, we're so unserious. Like this
No,
does
we sometimes we'll like fully agree, and then sometimes we'll like disagree
like
to
it'll
the
be little
point
moments where we're just like,
like no, like do you really think that? Like
but
no,
don't worry, girl, we love each other. Like
no,
it's all good.
literally, it's all good.
Um, like literally after the last segment, I literally was like, um, after the last segment, I literally was just like, okay, let's just move on.
No, literally,
I was
literally.
like, let's just move on. It doesn't matter that much. Um, but yeah, no, it was a good episode. Yeah, this last week had a lot to unpack, and I already know Casa, guys. Like I said, it's starting tomorrow on Sunday night, which means the Islanders are already there because we're a day behind. So tonight's after sun. So please tune into that. Get the inside scoop for we're gonna get the inside scoop with Soul and Gabe. Um, and yeah, it's been a really fun podcast. We've really been enjoying this. We have like what's it after this? Like three more episodes.
Yes, so well, this is our third, so yeah, we do have three more episodes after this. The summer is going by so quickly, but this has been fun, like literally the highlight of the week for me.
Literally, yeah, every week we love doing this. We love putting out content for you guys. Please like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube. Also follow us at Smile KTV and Jordan the Journalist on Instagram. We also have a Bombshell Behavior TikTok, so please check that out. Um, and yeah,
Yes, this has been so fun. Can't wait to do
yeah, thank
it
you
next
guys
week.
for joining.
Yes. Bye, guys.
Bye.